let me give you guys a quick rundown, and then I'll pull up Helios on stream as well, okay? So, this is the Deathless Randomizer League in Elden Ring. If you guys have never seen it before, it's essentially a competition where players try to qualify to the playoffs. Right now, we are in the playoff stage. Players will be playing the same randomizer seed against one another in a 1v1 format, okay? And the goal is to kill as many bosses as possible within a 2-hour time limit. Now, the deathless part comes from the fact that if you die, your score gets quote-unquote locked. So in a hypothetical scenario where I die, which would never happen, but if I die at 40 bosses and my opponent is alive, then and finishes the run at 2 hours at 60 bosses, even though after the death, I've killed another 25, so overall I'm at 65, I died at 40, so my score was locked at 40, and my score remained locked because my opponent did not die, okay? I think that's fairly simple to understand. So, but at the same time, if I get to 40 and then I die, and my opponent finishes deathless at 39, I still win because the score at time of death was higher, right? So the locked score is basically my score unless the deaths are tied. Now, at the same time, if we go to 2 deaths for my opponent and he was, let's say, my score is locked at 60 and their score is locked at, I don't know, at the second death, they die at 75. Even if I don't die and I don't make it to 75, I still lose, right? So it's a little complicated, but essentially the main goal is to try and not die, because if you die, you are relying on your opponents to die. It's very unlikely that if you die, unless it's at the very end of the 2-hour time limit, it's very unlikely that you're gonna win, okay? Unless your opponent dies as well. The way this works is that the players are gonna have certain starting graces at the beginning of the game, and they will be able to warp to them. That is the one in Firelink, and that is also the, Firelink. Limgrave, fucking Dark Souls brain. Limgrave, and also Liurnia. And so that means they can fast travel a little bit quicker, they can get to killing things a little bit quicker. Additionally, there will be 2 more graces given to the players in random locations. That could be somewhere later, like Fire Mazula. It could also be somewhere a little bit better in like Nokron or something, I believe. So that gives them potential to also kill extra bosses. Those will be the same for both players. However, they do not know ahead of time what's going to be there. Okay? Yeah, if a timer runs out, that's it. Like, scores are locked. It doesn't matter. If you kill a boss 1 second after the timer runs out, it's over. Hey, what's up, Azaz? How's it going? Yeah, sounds good, Fruitcakes. See you on Wednesday. See you on Wednesday. Do you not get the counted kills at the point opponent dies? If the opponent dies, your score is unlocked, and whatever your score is at that time, right? Because after your death, you keep playing. That's your score. So you keep on playing. And if I die at 40 and I make it to 60 and then my opponent dies, I'm at 60 again. Not at 40 because my score got unlocked because we are on equivalent deaths. So that's kind of what the format is. I think it will be much easier for everyone to process once you see it in play. Now, I quickly want to pull up the bracket. So this match is between the Frenchman Niorra against RomainJacques, a French-speaking Swiss player. They're both in the winner's side of the bracket. So the top 16 qualifiers, or qualifiees, I don't know. The top 16 players qualified to the winner's side of the bracket. The 32nd to 17th place qualified to the lower bracket. That means they cannot lose. If they lose, they're out. However, if you're in the winner bracket, as these 2 competitors are, if they lose, they still have a chance. They can still go through the lower bracket. It's going to be quite grueling because there's a lot of matches that you have to play. That's how lower brackets work. But you can still win the entire competition despite losing today, okay? It's very likely to die in an Elden Ring randomizer, to be honest. Now, if you look at Niorra, we can see that in the qualifiers, he finished 3rd. This is kind of crazy because this is the 2nd time in a row that Niorra in DRL finished 3rd as a qualifier. In Season 1, it was also his placement after the qualifiers. RomainJacques, on the other hand, he finished at 14. Now, what's interesting to me, though, we can also order, like, the score difference is pretty big, right? It's 25 bosses, and 25 divided by 5 seeds, because top 5 seeds for the qualifiers were counted. That's 5 bosses on average. So, like, on average, Niorra's score is higher. However, at the same time, you, for example, look at the seed number 1, which obviously that was when, like, the competition was fresh and everything. You can see that Roman actually gapped Niorra by 3 bosses and had the highest clear here, right? Then you look at the second one, there's also a high score for Roman. So it will be quite interesting to see. So on average, Niorra is the better player in terms of the scores, but you can see he doesn't ever like actually top out the leaderboards for any of these seeds. You know, like you could here as well, like he lost by 1, right? Not a big difference, but he lost by 1. So I think you can kind of see that, and here as well, holy shit. That's kind of crazy. Roman's ceiling seems to be quite high. But maybe the consistency is going to be a little bit of a problem because you can see that he has some unfortunate scores like 43, 57, 0. Those are not counted because they are the worst. But then 60 is counted for him. And that's definitely on the lower end, right? That means he died at 60. There's no way you finish at 60. Hey, Forsa, good to see you. Thank you. Niorra and Roman were actually the 2 players that you picked to do a test match before the playoffs, and it was super close. Same score, but Roman won by killing the last one 10 seconds before Niorra. It's funny that they meet again on the very first match. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. That sounds super hype, dude. That sounds super hype. I'm sure that it's going to deliver. So I would say that the consistency favors Niorra, but the actual potential for a high score, I think, favors Roman today. And that's kind of the question then, right? Like, who shows up? What's it going to be today? That's the variance factor. That's the variance factor. All right, guys, let me get Lazy Helios on the stream. As you can see, Lazy Helios is number 10 place. So he's a very, very experienced player. He knows the format in and out by this point. Let me pull him up on stream. And we can talk a little bit about the format. If you guys have seen DRL Season 1, this is going to be quite different. And Helios will be able to actually tell us exactly what the meta is and how it has kind of shifted. Can you join Voice 1 in DRL? Oh, he's here. Hello.
Oh, I'm hearing double. Yo.
You need to mute my stream, yeah. Welcome in, Helios. All right. Let me get your camera popped up, and I'll put you on stream. And so, Helios, welcome in, man. How are you doing today? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just finished a practice run before this. Did pretty well. Quite excited to watch this game.
Awesome.
Before today, I didn't realize that this might be one of the games with the most history that happens in this season. These 2 players played in both the Season 1 and the show match. So I'm pretty excited now.
Yeah, that is crazy. I didn't realize that they played in Season 1 as well. Do you know off the top of your head how that match actually went?
Yes, I think Niorra won by 2 points in that game.
Okay, that's fairly close.
It was a super close game.
Yeah, that is fairly close.
So aside from the finalists of last season somehow meeting again, this is probably one of the games where the players have played each other the most. And it's also, they're both veterans of the format. They both qualified in Season 1, both qualified in Season 2. High scores across the board. They clearly know what they're doing.
That makes sense, yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about the format, right? We've seen DRL Season 1. The meta there was fairly simple. You basically try to pick the lightest weapon possible that is usable, upgrade it as fast as possible, and then try to use it unless you found something a little bit later, which then you might have switched. Right now, one of the biggest changes for Season 2, which might have gone a little bit under the radar, is that you can drop the weapons you already have and pick them up to auto-upgrade them to your highest level now. So the meta changes from the fact that you do not really need to get something light super early, you just need to have something light to upgrade at some point, and then your starting weapons can be used as well. So what's the general strategy that people have been using?
Right, so you almost always, because you get 2 seals in your care package, and both are base game seals, so there's a very high chance of getting a smithing seal in your care package, which is weight 1.5. It's very cheap to upgrade because for some reason in Elden Ring, it's based on weight, how costly your weapon upgrades are. So Yeah, that you upgrade your seal, you drop your weapons, and you pick them up, and you play. That's that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah,
Uh,
so the care package that you mentioned, there's basically a package of around 50 items or something that both players start with. And it usually has talismans and maybe, I believe, also physic tiers that they can use. And on top of
right,
that, there are also some seals, yeah. And it will, however, not contain any other weapons, right? So the starting weapons are pretty important for both players.
right. It does not contain any weapons. It does contain staves, seals, and
Mm-hmm.
armor, most of which you end up selling, so you can get those early levels on your seal.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. We saw that in DRL Season 1 as well. So to compare this a little bit to Randocalypse, which is like the most recent event that we have seen here on my channel, that was use what you get. So you basically just were killing bosses and seeing what you get as drops. In this competition, it's very different. You can actually kind of tailor your build. You can change up the armor, you can use the different weapons that you can now drop to upgrade again, and use different weapons for different bosses. So it's very important to find, hopefully, a holy weapon that you can use against Ghost Flame Dragons or Deathrite Birds. Find Strike if you can against, for example, Watchdogs. You might be saving some time with that. And you can use the different tools. So the skill set here includes not just knowing how to fight the bosses and be fast about it, but it also includes using the right tools for the right job.
Right, for sure. Uh, there was quite a bit of meta innovation in the mid-season. We kind of realized that power stance jump builds are really broken. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much if you have a power stance jump build, especially if it's strike, but even if it's something like great axes, it is the way to go, regardless of what other weapons you have.
Mm-hmm.
Usually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you need like a very coherent, like almost first playthrough like build in order to beat out the jump build. Like you need Starfist with the charge attack talisman and charge attack tier, and then yeah, okay, your damage is pretty similar, but otherwise, the jump build is the meta.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you
Yeah,
will see
that
it almost every game if the players manage to find two weapons of the same class.
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, it's one of those things that you might have seen a lot in like Night Rain recently. I feel like it's very strong in that game as well,
For
with
sure.
classes like Raider or Wilder. But we'll see. In the end, players will be going through different regions that are scaled differently as well. Obviously, in the early game, there's not as much of a danger of dying unless something goes like terribly wrong. But jump attacking also puts you at a little bit of a vulnerable position because if the enemy doesn't stagger, then your recovery is quite slow, especially with big weapons. So if you get hit when you're not supposed to by a high-scaled enemy, you might as well just take the L.
Right.
Well, speaking of big weapons, I can tell that both players are starting with the same starting class, the Samurai, which has the rotten great stuff. Would you say that this is a good starting weapon, or would you be happy to see something else?
Yeah, this is generally one of the best starting weapons. Of course, you could find another colossal hammer down the line, even though that ends up getting quite heavy. Uh, but even without that, colossal weapons have trended to be the best starting
Mm-hmm.
classes and or the starting weapons in general. High AR, high cheese ability for bosses, and obviously this one has a bit of an advantage in the early game if you opt to go for a risky strat, such as going to Dragon Barrow and killing all the bosses there for big money, so your scaling goes through the roof,
Mm-hmm.
which some players like more than others. But the rot will help a lot there because you can sort of not fight the boss for the last little bit. You just leave, and the rot will kill the boss.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's a small optimization. And here we go, guys. We are underway. We have two zones that we have for the players available. Zone 1 is Scadu Altus. Second one is Snowfield. So Scadu Altus, you're probably not super happy to see. DLC is not one of those areas that players go to very often to get extra kills. You might be able to pick up something like a quick Dane at the end if it's a simpler boss to kill. But otherwise, I don't think we're going to see the players there. What's it like with Snowfields? Do you think that players will go there today?
Uh, both of these graces are. Oh, there's a bug
Yeah, bug with
where
the
the
score. Yeah,
score
yeah,
shows
yeah.
37 unless you reset or refresh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'll take care of that. Tell us about Snowfield in the meantime.
Snowfield is not really a place you go unless you're really like you're really running out of bosses. There is a strat you can do if Dragon Barrow is lacking in money to just go and check the Theodoric's replacement, because it's about a 40-second run from the grace you get in our consecrated snowfield. And if that boss is a relatively easy boss, it can drop relatively good runes. It drops great. Like, it can replace all of Dragon Barrow if it's a good boss. Like, if it's a Garunk.
Yeah.
You just get like 300k and your money situation is perfect after that. But it is risky also, because it is the highest scaled open world area.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Not really much use for Snowfield. And these starting graces are definitely less than ideal, because you do not have a guaranteed way into Altus, which means you're either searching for the Dectus Medallion and praying that you get it, or you're going to have to go through Precipice, which is obviously very dangerous because of all the gravity that can happen there.
Yeah, this is also something that's very different from Randocalypse that we saw, where in Randocalypse you basically had certain starting locations, and very rarely you made it to Altus unless it was one of the early game seeds. Usually you would do something a little bit later. However, here you are starting in Limgrave and Liurnia always, so you have to find your way into Altus, because in these 2 hours you're going to be able to clear out those areas, right? Despite not having something like a Caelid Grace. Like, it's not that big of a run to go from Limgrave to Caelid, so both players have to find the way into Altus, and what Helios is talking about is the fact that some of these starting locations, or I guess it's mostly the one in Farum Azula, I believe, where you can go fight Maliketh, because you have the Beside the Great Bridge, you go kill Maliketh, and then you can run backwards through Ashen Capital to get to Altus that way. That is, like quite a bit quicker than going through the Precipice. And already Niorra, first pickup here, he has the Axe Talisman. That's huge. I think both players are going to get this one.
Pickup.
Nice. Yeah, good to see that.
Not the greatest with the Colossal Weapon, but still not a bad talisman to have. You're not complaining about it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Charge R2s are still a huge part of the game, especially until you get your second power stance weapon, right? Like, you can still probably use it quite a bit.
For sure.
So both players are starting in Liurnia, despite also having graces in Limgrave. I think a lot of the idea early on is to try and maybe kill some bosses in Liurnia to get a little bit of extra money for upgrades. Right now, we can already see Roman running into Roundtable on the right side of your screen, and he will be buying some of these upgrade stones to upgrade one of the starting weapons that they started with.
Right.
Looking through the merchant.
He does have 15,000, so he should be getting to plus 15 or so with that much money on his seal, and then he can drop and pick up his somber weapon to get it to plus 6, which is very usable for your first couple bosses until you go all the way. And we see Roman do a small optimization here. He drops his Rod and Staff before upgrading the seal, and then he'll pick it back up fully upgraded in Roundtable.
Yeah, he even gets all the way to plus 17, actually. Picks up the weapon, and now we will see he's getting a little lost in the menus. That's one of the challenges with having specific graces unlocked at random, is that if you go through the menus using L1 and R1, you will be going through different tabs and categories all the time. But at the same time, using the cursor is quite slow, right? So you usually want to try to use the menus. Okay, setting up his physic now as well. Probably looking to go into action. I've seen a lot of players like to go to this Deathbird replacement here in Liurnia as the first boss, go into this Laskia Runes chain. One thing that also needs to be pointed out, this is normally a night boss. However, in this format, the night bosses will also spawn during the day, so you don't need to waste your time making it nighttime.
Right. And yeah, this Deathbird chain is in general the most consistent way to manage to get your early runes in the least amount of bosses, but obviously it's Liurnia instead of Limgrave. The bosses will be tankier. If you find, for instance, a Fire Giant Phase 2, you have to skip it. No choice. So there's a bit of risk involved. And
yeah, Roman,
we do see him getting a little lost.
Yeah, a little lost because Roman, I don't know exactly what he saw, but he decided it's not worth fighting. So the screen's a little too small for me to see, but he decided that he did not want to fight the Deathbird replacement. He's not taking the Scenic Isle Grace either, which could be like a little bit of a salvage of potential time loss if you want to come back later. maybe he decided that he just does not want to fight the boss there, right? That might be also plausible. So instead he runs over to this Knight's Cavalry replacement. And we have a little bit of divergence in routing as well. Niorra instead heading over to Limgrave. We'll be looking to maybe pick up some of the first kills.
And we did see Niorra to see one of the glintstone crowns that I believe gives you 2 strength. So it's interesting that he didn't pick it up. It was a bit pricey though. And I don't think he wants to spend runes on things that aren't upgrades at this point.
Okay, so Edred being the first fight that we'll be fighting. Rotted already, and you can see the power of the big weapons here. Roman smartly not taking the riposte, because Black Knights actually do not take that much damage from the riposts. And now this is exactly what Helios was talking about. He doesn't even finish the boss, just lets the rot do it for him, and gonna head over to the next one. In the meantime, Niorra on the left side, he's fighting a Death Knight. We have 2 Knights as the first bosses. This one replacing the Crucible Knight in Limgrave, one of the higher skilled enemies in this area. But for a Death Knight, this is pretty solid damage. We'll see if he manages to roll this lightning. Does so perfectly. Goes for a backstab as well. Very nice. In the meantime, Roman is going to be fighting a Tree Sentinel now. Should be pretty good. He obviously is playing very aggressively. He's taking hits, but this is on purpose. He knows that he can stagger the boss with this heavy weapon. Gets a big hit there with the Charge R2. And in the meantime, Niorra also is going to tie the score at 1-1. Rod getting some extra work done now as well. And let's see, Roman, if he heads over, he's trying to pick up some of these items. Of course, as we are talking about, the weapons that they pick up from now are auto-upgraded. And interestingly, he's not running to the Church of Wows. So he's not heading over to Miriel right now. Might not be going over for that extra boss there that normally replaces the Bell-Bearing Hunter. And instead chooses to maybe go around Ichi to get into Precipice if they actually need to. You obviously are going to go in that kind of direction either way, because you need to go to Northeastern Liurnia, which has quite a few bosses. There's the Uchi Avatar replacement, and there's also the Black Knife Catacomb with 2 bosses there. But it's quite interesting to see, because it's basically a little bit of a trade-off of getting an extra boss versus being slightly faster. And well, maybe not even slightly faster, but getting like an extra tier from the Bellum Church and getting a merchant on the way.
Yeah, for sure. That right side Liurnia routing, I've been told, is a lot better. When I timed it, I didn't see it as that much better. It's just an extra boss for about the time of an extra boss, but others seem convinced that it is very good to go for that Bell-Bearing Hunter and then go that way to the north of Liurnia.
Yeah, I used to do that in Season 1 as well. I kind of thought that it was the superior option there, but it always does depend also on your setup and stuff, right? The good thing is that there's always a grace that you can potentially take, so that if your setup is not that good, you can potentially come back later. But we saw Roman's setup is pretty good now. Like, he upgraded his weapon further than he had it at the start. At the start, it was plus 16 or plus 17, and now I believe he is probably up to plus 24.
Interesting that Niorra is not even talking to Bernal. He might be going for a play where he goes and kills all the bosses up to patches, and then goes and turns in both of those bell bearings to check them at the same time, which would be pretty smart with this kind of routing. Obviously, there's a small amount of risk that you find a Halictree half, but with the small amount of bosses, it's not that likely.
Yeah. Yeah, the risk being that if you find the Halictree half and you return back to Roundtable, you're gonna get invaded by Ensure, which obviously causes some time loss. Alright, both players now in Limgrave. We had Leonine Misbegotten replacing the boss at Bernal, and now we also have Fire Giant. Phase 1. You can see that the damage is quite good from the staff. The Poise is going to be able to stagger here before the phase transition as well. Really nicely done. And you can see Niorra perfectly targeting the leg, exposed leg part or foot part, where you deal extra damage. Misses one hit there. Yeah, the weak spot, exactly. Misses a couple of hits. Malenia is also the first boss, actually, in Limgrave. I didn't even notice that. Both players deciding to skip that one.
Yes. That explains why it was skipped. Okay.
Yeah, if you don't know, Malenia comes as a double package. It's always phase 1 and phase 2 at the same time. Meanwhile, most of the enemies, like Fire Giant here, they are separate models. So Fire Giant, you will either find phase 1 or phase 2. You'll never find them together. While Malenia is the same model, just goes through the phase transition.
Green Turtle has a pickup for Niorra. Very nice stamina regen talisman for him. And we see Gaius.
Yeah, Gaius for Roman. Running around a little bit. Roman trying to play aggressive, get some of those crouch or roll R1s in. Gonna be able to get the phase transition, rolls it nicely. Gets a huge stagger as well, big damage. So this is one thing that needs to be mentioned if you're watching a match of this for the first time. Oh, he also gets the Halikchi Medallion, actually. We were just talking about it, but if he's fully upgraded, he theoretically doesn't have to go to Roundtable anymore, right?
For sure, yeah. If he's fully upgraded, that's completely fine to get. If a little bit annoying, because if you get that plus 25 or plus 10 stone, you still want to upgrade. You can pretty much mitigate that by just leaving the Deathrite Bird into the Royal Revenant for later. So you can just upgrade it EG instead. After
That makes sense.
Revenant.
Yeah.
And Giza's Wheel at the Merchant for Niorra, but he doesn't pick it up.
That's an interesting choice.
Power stance.
Yeah, we will see. We will see what kind of a build he actually goes up for. If he does find some other weapons of this type. Obviously, Giza's Wheel also causes bleed. Not very relevant in Limgrave. I was just going to talk about if you've not seen this format. Limgrave, obviously, it seems like these bosses are easy. That's kind of by design. Their scaling is low. Accidents can still happen, and they do happen, because you never know with Randomizer. It is a game of variance. But the goal here in Limgrave is basically just get blasted as fast as possible, kill as many bosses as fast as possible. The real challenge in the boss fights themselves comes later, you know, the Liurnias and the Altus especially. So we'll definitely get to that. And of course also Dragon Barrow. That's something that that Helios mentioned, and it's something that we might see at some point. Even though Niorra's not actually getting the Third Church of Marika Grace at the moment.
He's going towards the Sleep Pot Graveyard, which I don't think I've seen before, but I mean, it's extra items. It could have a plus 10 stone.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Yes, he finds Kukris. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he finds the staff as well, which confirms he's at plus 12 right now. So his upgrade level is a little bit lower, but as I was saying, like, it's not as big of a deal here in Limgrave. Right? Even though Roman is able to have more damage output, the question is, does it really even save hits because the bosses die that fast? Like, maybe it saves 1 or 2 hits here and there. It's not that big of a deal. If you have a much more upgraded of a weapon later on down the line where the fights are like a minute long, then yeah, that would be a problem.
For sure.
All right, Third Church of Marika Grace actually for Niorra now. He's gonna warp out, but this is where that early Dragon Barrow or Dragon Barrow at any point strat would actually come from. Because you can simply take the teleporter to go to Grunk, you end up behind the BBK in Dragon Barrow, and you can start your journey there. But as Helios pointed out, it's a fairly risky strategy. This is the first playoffs match for both these players in this season. Maybe they want to play it a little bit safer. Maybe they'll do it in the middle of the match when, you know, they're kind of warmed up and they feel a little bit more comfortable with their setup. Or maybe we're just going to see it like at the very end. That'll be interesting.
For sure, yeah. You do want to do it at some point before going to Altus. Because it's possible and it's happened that both Dectus halves are in Dragon Barrow. And if your opponent does it and you don't, they gain a pretty big advantage.
Yeah, this circles back to what we are talking about with the starting zones. Sci-Fi actually corrected me. There's a couple of other zones as well. It's not just Far Missoula. You also have, for example, Lindell or I believe Volcano Manor that all can get Altus access that way. So you do not need to get the Dectus or go through Precipice. But as Helios pointed out, like in this match, we will either see Precipice or Dectus. There's no other way around it.
It's actually more likely than not because of the probability of picking 2 out of 11 or something that you get a grace that allows you to go to Altus. So between that and the possibility of getting Dectus, I've seen very few Makar seeds. Maybe like 3 overall in all my practice. 2 very recently, but still it's not very common.
Yeah, I believe
To
both
see
players
that.
are going to be fairly familiar with Precipice. Like it's what we had to do a lot in season 1, because most of the time you actually didn't find Dectus in that format, and so I think there will not be a skill gap there. But as Helios said before, it's very scary in the sense that it's very easy to die to gravity there, right? Gravity doesn't really care how much vigor you have; it will just take you down to 0 either way.
Right, and it's just 1 or 2 bullshit enemies is all
Yeah.
you need. Right, and it's just they have a very high chance of knocking you off if you're
Mm-hmm.
not careful.
All right, Roman actually picking up the Giza's wheel at the merchants that Niorra decided to skip. We'll see if he incorporates it into his build. Of course, one of the things about wielding 2 Colossals is that you also will be quite heavy, so you might need to level some endurance potentially. Instead of leveling, perhaps strength to be able to scale your damage a little bit better. That's also like one of those things where the early Dragon Barrow play can come in really handy, depending on what the fights are. If you do it early and your opponent doesn't, and you are able to get higher strength levels and deal more damage than your opponent, you might be able to outpace him just based on that, despite the same RNG.
Right, yeah. And we've actually seen that at multiple levels. Like, for example, there's players who go there at around the 25-minute mark. They just run there straight through Limgrave.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they're at 40 vigor, they go to Dragon Barrow. Yesterday, we saw actually ENSG Master not even kill anything in Limgrave, just go to Dragon Barrow to face check the first 2 bosses. And it
Okay.
paid off for him. The first boss was Blue Loretta, and he went back to it quite early and got a hefty 260,000
Yeah,
runes.
that's pretty crazy, yeah. Yeah, it takes balls to do that in the first playoffs match. But at the same time, he was in the upper bracket, so he knew that if the risk doesn't pay out, like potentially he still has another chance now after falling to Forsa in that epic match that we saw yesterday.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely crazy match that one.
Niorra now heading over back to the Twin Maidens, checks, patches his bell bearing at the same time, finds the Millicent's prosthesis. Quite a nice pick up, some extra dexterity levels. That's pretty good.
Not bad.
It's buying Stone Sword keys now as well. So how many Stone Sword keys do you generally need in the regular routing?
So there are 5 between the merchants that are guaranteed, and you usually only need 6. Uh, Getting to 8 can help because getting
Mm-hmm.
to 8 unlocks Unsightly Catacombs, but
Yep.
Unsightly Catacombs is not like the fastest check of all time, so losing it is not usually the biggest deal. It's on seed. Actually, it's on seeds like this where you really want to get to 8 because you are probably going to get bottlenecked by your lack of extra graces if you're really cooking on a seed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if you have a Mount Gelmir Grace, you get 3 bosses there. If you have even like mountaintops, you can kill 5 bosses there, but uh, these graces, you're not really killing much.
Yeah.
So you kind of do want those extra Stone Sword keys to unlock more checks.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And I know some players also favor the jail cave where the duelist is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure how good it is. I don't think it's ever going to be meta, but I know some players do like checking it.
Yeah, the Gel Cave is interesting because you get access to the skip, right? Because of Third Church of Marika. You use that bonfire, grace rather. And then you can run from there to the beach and jump to the backward section of that entire cave, so you don't have to run through it necessarily. That does
Right.
save a little bit of time, but you still have to open it. Like, that's the thing. You still have to run there and open it in the first place.
Right. If you didn't have to open it, and Roman getting very unlucky with Borealis
Yeah.
disappearing
Yeah, he's back
into.
now.
All right, that was not too bad. He
That was
lost a
not too
few
bad.
seconds, but
You
I've
did
seen worse.
you did mention that their previous match, the show match, was separated by about 10 seconds. I mean, this could make or break a
Yeah,
match, right? Like, if push comes to shove, you never know.
you never know. Yeah.
Not
Yeah, I
happy to
mean,
see
whenever I
it.
see a dragon in a closed space, I'm always 15 seconds away from crashing out because, yeah, they get stuck in all kinds of
Yep.
places.
Yep. Yeah, you need to make sure that you don't let it tilt you. Gotta keep going. In the end, both players are at a pretty decent pace. The thing is, like, obviously right now the score is 6-8 in the favor of Roman, but the routing is, as we have seen, is quite different. Like, they're doing the same chains, they're going for the same stuff, but they are doing it in a different order, so it's just very hard to say like who's ahead and who's behind. I do think for Roman, one of the advantages was that he was able to upgrade earlier than Niorra. Niorra now is also at plus 24, so the damage playing field is pretty much even.
Yeah, I will say something we've learned. Unless there's been like really bad mistakes or death, it's impossible to compare player's pace until like the hour mark. That's about when you start thinking, okay, yeah, this player's ahead or like behind, or it's about even. A lot of the time, it is about even, and there's still randa to be played.
Yeah, that makes sense. So right now, Niorra is going to be heading over to the Stormfoot Catacomb with the Watchdog. Is this a common thing to do early, or is this not really one of the most common checks, simply because it takes a little bit longer to get through?
It is a bit of a longer check, but I've seen a lot of players favor it lately. Personally, I don't really do this unless my pace is really, really good, because it's a bit of a slower check, and you cancel out 4 of these slower checks, and you may be able to get an extra boss sometimes. Right. But it's a play, and in a seed like this where finding Dectus is make or break, you can't really say it's a bad play.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially if your opponent doesn't check it and you end up getting Dectus because of it. And Roman, he's actually heading back over now to Roundtable. Perhaps he wasn't fully upgraded. Trying to figure out if he can get to 24 now. Obviously, he has almost 90,000 runes, so he'll be able to do that. But taking quite a bit of a time loss there by having to fight Encha. Encha also rolled the butt slam as well, so it wasn't even the fastest fight.
Encha did drop some crystal darts, though, which is nice. In case you ever find one of those watchdogs, you can confuse them.
Yeah, he's checking patches now. Okay, that's why he came back. Checking patches, buying the stone sword keys from the merchants as well.
Buys all 20 fan daggers. I suppose that's another benefit of the patches strat, is that you always have consumables to throw. Whether it's at walls or bosses, you can keep up poise.
Yeah, that's very important and very useful. Especially in the longer fights, like here in Limgrave, maybe not that relevant, but in longer fights where staggers are quite paramount to your sometimes almost necessary for efficient damage output, it's great to be able to just keep up the poise while the boss is, stalling, perhaps running away or doing a long combo or something like that. Both players right now going to more Limgrave checks. We see Niorra is heading over to Godric. Meanwhile, Roman is actually heading over to the Limgrave tunnel around Agil's Lake. Agil's Lake is a little bit special. We've seen it a lot of times. Also, this damage should be insane on the left side. Yeah, to this Deathbird with the strike weapon. Unfortunate miss there by Niorra. 2 of them, actually. Now switches to R1s. And a crouch attack misses 1 more time. Lost quite a decent amount of time on this boss, actually. Considering that it was going to die in 3 hits. But I was going to say, the Agil Lake is a little bit special. We've seen it a lot of times, but there's basically a zone that if you enter, you are going to trigger the event there with the enemies. And when you come back after reloading the area, all the enemies that are normally there that Agil kind of wipes out when he flies in are going to disappear. So a lot of the times, you're actually going to see players just basically check what the boss is and then come back later to make sure that there are no extra enemies and you're fighting the boss one-on-one. Yeah, Roman having a little bit of a tougher time here in the tunnel, getting grabbed by one of the flies. And both players' paths are now converging. So I assume after this, it's going to be the familiar routing with running towards the Mad Pumpkin into probably the Agil Lake South Everjail all the way to Weeping Peninsula from both players. Is that common in this format as well?
Yeah, that is what they are probably doing. Getting to Weeping early is always nice. You get those, or you usually get 1, but depending on how many you want, you can get all 3 Sacred Tears. And your heals are very important in the late game if you're trading a lot. So they will make their way over to Weeping.
That is another thing to point out, that despite the health bars being quite big, especially for the earlier parts of the game, the players' health pots also grabbed Niorra is by the fly, by the way. That's pretty funny. He looks so annoyed. I can understand why, but both players suffering the same fate there. But as I was saying, the flasks are fairly low level. So what kind of a flask do you normally start with?
You start with just the basic flasks. So you start with 4 or 3 plus 1 plus 0 flasks. And golden seeds and secretaries are unrandomized. So you can find them, or you can pick them up in their normal locations at the trees and the churches. Usually you want to pick up a few, depending on your comfort level with fighting later game enemies. You can choose to skip some as well. But usually you get up to between 6 and 8, between +2 and +4 is what I've seen. I'm usually on the lower end of that spectrum. I tend to skip a lot of them. I don't see them as that useful, but it varies from player to player.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. So like, especially later on in the run, like right now, as I said quite a few times, it looks relatively easy because of how much damage the players are dealing, but later on, they're not going to be dealing this much damage, and taking damage is going to be doubly as dangerous because you're not going to be able to heal up as much, especially if you're doing a boss chain, right? Like maybe 1v1 with a fight, where you do a fight and then just go back to a grace, refill. Not that big of a problem. If you have to do multiple fights in a row, suddenly the lack of flasks can really catch up to you if you have like a tough fight on one of them.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, we have Renala replacing the Mad Pumpkin.
This is a good place to find Renala, phase 1. She's not going to stall, she just dies in 3 hits. If you find her late game scaled, you'll have to bring her down 3-4 times sometimes, and it's really slow.
Yeah, there it can also be a check for a status weapon, potentially, right? Because it can really speed up the fight quite a bit, from my experience.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Oh! I see Roman flip an ant into the air. Oh.
Yeah, he killed that enemy because that enemy replaces a noble that normally drops a staff, so he got an item out of it. Nothing too useful, it was just a Somber Stone. But at the same time, Niorra now having a little bit of an interesting fight here. He has to fight not just the knight, Taravel, but he also has to fight a freaking Rune Bear right there. Luckily, the Rune Bear...
Yeah. Very good rolls, though. He avoided the grab, which would have wasted a lot of his time, managed to get the boss down, and is on his way.
Yeah, it's very interesting because Roman was able to actually avoid aggroing the bear. Despite it being daytime, Niorra right now actually has a nighttime, and still the Rune Bear saw him.
Yeah, it's funny because there was a bear there in yesterday's match between Forsa and NSG Master, and I think both of them had some troubles with it. They either had to kill it or lure it. And today, in my practice, I had a bear there, and I managed to avoid it by running a very wide line. So that bear has been sitting there for a while now.
And it's quite interesting because it's always so hard to like predict how enemies are actually gonna react and work in a randomizer when they're not in their regular setting, right? It's basically you don't know until you encounter that situation once, and the chances of the same enemy appearing in the exact same place multiple times is kind of rough.
Yeah, the fact that it's happened 3 times over the last, basically 24 hours is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, that is fair. All right, so we have some big development here, actually, even though both players are following the same route. Yeah, this is super interesting. So Niorra, he picked up a shiny, a legendary shiny outside of Mad Pumpkin's arena. Ends up being a +10 stone. That's why we see him now returning to Roundtable. He wants to upgrade his weapon to +10 because he's stuck at +9, of course, since Roundtable does have stones all the way to +24, but it doesn't have the final one that we were talking about. And at the same time, he also wanted to do it immediately, so he was trying to take the Mad Pumpkin Grace, but it took a long time because Renala took a long time to die, actually. So he lost quite a bit of decent amount of time there. And he evened out the time loss for Roman, who also got invaded by Encha. However, now we might see a big difference in damage later on because it's about a 10% or so difference between a +9 and a +10 weapon. Especially if we do eventually, I just wanted to say, if we do get to power stance weapons, it might be even doubly so because it would be a double +10 versus a double +9.
That being said, there is a gold item right here. I'm curious. Okay, oh, it is a colossal, but it's not a +10.
It is a nice weapon. I mean, it is holy damage.
It can be power stanced with the rod and staff for very good damage, but obviously, it is quite heavy. The winner of this game is going to play Rakushane, who beat Gustav yesterday.
Yeah, it's not going to be any easy. For either of these players, if they make it through, like, Raku is a formidable opponent, as I have learned myself once upon a time, so it's going to be a hype matchup either way, I think.
For sure, yeah.
All right, Exikes now as well for Niorra. Dragons in Evergels can sometimes be a little scary because they can fly outside of the actual fog wall.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of chill on the outside.
Yeah. When you see one of these, you just want to stagger it as soon as you can. Because then you can usually just finish it off in these early parts of the game.
Yeah, it's another reason why these colossals can be super, super useful. The poise damage. Okay, there's a lobster here for Romain, who's now in Weeping. Made his way over from the Earthborn Cave to the Catacomb there. And he's going to be fighting Commander Neil. And yeah, the lobster is now getting involved. He luckily killed one of the summons. This is a very unfortunate location for the lobster because this enemy usually does follow you here into the fight. So having a really annoying enemy is not great. It's playing really, really aggressively. Gets a lot of hits in before the phase transition. He's trying to heal up. Uses the physic. Yeah, both players do have the flask that heals them when they get low. The problem with that is that if you take too much damage, you can actually skip the heal up as well. Like if you take a hit that basically takes you past the threshold and it takes you all the way to 0 health, the heal is not going to proc. Like it's not going to save you from dying. Ooh, Bloodfiend's arm. Actually.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but one of the best weapons in the game. Probably one of the few that you wouldn't actually want to power stance. It is still really good, but actually, with the Sunflower there, both scaling with Faith, I could see maybe an even stronger power stance. I did see Asher War Eruption in this cave that Niorra is in right now, so I wonder if Romain has that, because if he does, that could end up being very strong.
Yeah, both players have access to changing up their Ashes of War just at Graces. They also have all the whetstones, so they can change up the affinity of their weapons as well, if their heart desires. And yeah, we see Romain now actually swapping over. And Niorra having slightly different routing. He's actually going to pick up this Grace, heading over to the Night Bosses first. So this is kind of interesting routing. The difference there isn't really big. It's basically an extra flask potentially for Romain, if he now takes the Spirit Spring after this tunnel and goes to the Night Bosses from there.
Exactly. Both routes are pretty identical.
Yeah, which I do think is fairly a smart choice. The one advantage that Niorra will have coming from this direction is that, worst case scenario, if that first boss is really bad, he has a Grace that's really close, and he can just kind of come back whenever he deems necessary. But otherwise, yeah, it's fairly equal. So hello Mewtwo, thanks for the raid, welcome in guys. We are currently watching the first round of upper bracket playoffs in Deathless Randomizer League Season 2 between Niorra on the left side of the screen and RomainJacques on the right side of the screen. The score is 15-17, but that doesn't tell the story at all. We are only 30 minutes out of the 120 minutes into this match. Neither player has died yet. Both players have played very solid. Some small time losses, but they've happened for both players. So I think we are on a very, very equal playing field for now. Nothing conclusive. All right, Tombs were Catacomb now. For Niorra. Cool tech there. It's also well known by now, but at some point it was a novelty. Blocking the fire pillars in order to basically take only one tick of damage, then you can just kind of run through it because you cannot get hit multiple times. Speeds the process up a little bit. And now Roman doing exactly what I said. He's taken the Sacred Tier in Weeping and is going to head over to the second boss first, which is normally a Deathbird. And he's going to find Mad Pumpkin and Leonine Duo. That's one thing as well that you guys have probably noticed, is that these multi-bosses can actually be randomized between one another as well. Gets the Leonine kill. Avoids hitting the head, gets a stagger. Nice kill as well there. That was very quick. And same thing for Niorra as well, having to deal with a duel between a chief demi-human and one of the Clean Road Knights, both players getting the kills there. Their big weapons dealing big damage. And it's another DRL here, actually. Another Bloodhound Knight for Roman. No Room Bear in sight. Should be fairly free. Tons of damage. Roman gonna be smart. Check in the Merchant as well. Obviously, you can always find some tools. If you find the armor that boosts your jump attacks, if you find anything that boosts your charge R2s, right? Because both players have been using them a lot. If you find the Physic Flask for that, that is a huge advantage, especially as we get to the later areas of the game.
That is one of the 2 merchants in the game that have a guaranteed Stone Sword key, so it's always good to pick it up. Yeah, Niorra making quick work of the lobster, by the way. Just hits it until it dies.
Yeah, fairly interesting to see like these small decisions that the players have to face. Like it's one of those things where you don't really think about this, but the players in Randomizer have to make a lot of like on the spot decisions like this. Like, do I skip an enemy? Do I kill an enemy? Will the enemy be dangerous or not? And sometimes that can be the difference between life and death as well.
And I'm not saying it's an incorrect choice because he's still in Limgrave, but this unattuned Bloodfiend's arm is not really that good, not really better than any of the other Colossals he has. So if he keeps using it like this, he's probably going to start losing some damage later on. In fact, both of them are opting for it.
Yeah, but Niorra, he does exactly what you pointed out. He checks that he has the Eruption. He's thinking about changing the affinity on the weapon.
Interesting. So Roman really likes this weapon, but Niorra hates playing Colossals. Okay.
Yeah, Forsa with some extra info. Maybe that's why Roman like switched to it basically instantly. At the same time, Niorra also recognizing the strength of the weapon is using it right now. It will be quite interesting to see what build the players actually opt for once they get to the higher skilled areas. As here, it's not actually as big of a deal. As long as they deal the poise damage and they can take the big riposts and they can get the big staggers, then it's probably kind of fine. The difference between the weapons is not going to be huge. Midra trolling a little bit, hits Niorra with the face transition. Niorra playing very aggressive, gets the last hit, gets the kill. Meanwhile, Roman actually heading over to this Evergel that normally houses the engine hero of Zamor. Gonna have to use one of his Stone Sword keys that he bought. And yeah, he hasn't, even though now he's done quite a few of the dungeons, he hasn't changed the Ash of War on his weapon, so there's a good chance that he did not actually get Eruption. Oh, and interestingly, Niorra, despite taking the Grace, did he take the Grace? I'm pretty sure he took the Grace after Earthbore. He's actually heading over. Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's actually heading over to get the Sacred Tier as well. Again, I will say, like, I prefer this play. I think it makes sense. Doesn't really cost you that much time, and the chance of you finding something you cannot kill in Limgrave is fairly low. But I do think it's an interesting choice if you've already taken the Grace, or at least he was running in that direction for sure.
Right. Yeah, I like getting that Sacred Tier. It only costs you about 12 seconds, according to who's told me. And it's extra heals for another hour of hard boss fights
Yeah.
potentially. So it is also the like +3 is around when because every sacred tier you get heals less and less. Plus
Mm-hmm.
3 is a very good improvement over +2, but I don't really notice improvements after that too
Mm-hmm.
much
Mm-hmm.
usually. It's like you need multiple to really notice it.
Right, Niorra having a little bit of trouble, not much, but a little bit of trouble with that double fight. Gets the kill eventually. Meanwhile, Engineer of Zamor moved from the Evergel to the Miranda Cave. Doesn't matter, gets dismantled by Roman anyway. Niorra now also getting that golden seed for potential extra charges for the flask. And Roman now, he found himself an upgrade. No, actually not. Oh yeah.
Oh,
He had
he has a
a somber.
+10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The Bloodfiend R being a smithing stone weapon, he did find a +10 stone. Upgrades his other weapon, will eventually drop this Bloodfiend arm as well to upgrade it to +25. And right now, to me, it's looking like he's actually heading over to Lower Kalit. Probably taking the trap chest to the Celiac Crystal Tunnel. Niorra now is quickly catching up in terms of the map progression here in Limgrave, and we will see where he heads over next. I mean, right now he's going to finish up Weeping. That makes sense. And then I'm curious to see where the routing's going to take him. Whether he goes Upper Kaled, whether he goes Lower Kaled. Lower Kaled is one of the best areas, honestly, for boss density. There's tons of bosses. You have the Celiac Crystal Tunnel, Nox Duo, Commander in the Swamp, Exikes. On the highway, you have Knights Cavalry. There's a Deathbird. Potentially Kaled Catacombs with another with a Shade boss. So there's a lot of bosses in quite a tight area. It will, however, also be the highest skilled area that the players have gone through so far. So some of the bosses can start being a little bit dangerous there. All right, will we see the skip here in Celiac Crystal Tunnel? Yeah, Roman is unequipping his weapons. He's going to go for it. Oh, there's a chariot. This would be really big to hit, not get blocked, and he does pull it off successfully. Very nice. Practice
Nice
not just his
try.
fights. Yeah, not just his fights, but his skips too. His skip doesn't save that much time, but like any second could matter between these two players.
Right. They've had incredibly close games in the past, and they know it. Their opponent's really good.
All right, what's going to be the first Kaled boss? Seems to be a simple Urtree avatar. Then again, maybe it's an avatar duo. I guess we're going to find out soon enough. Oh, damage is huge still.
It's quite funny that I actually prefer seeing the avatar duo over the regular avatar, because it's not going to do golden land and waste your time, and it just stands there letting you hit while it's splitting, and usually that's enough to just get the kill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's counterintuitive, but the duo is the easier variant of the two.
That does make sense, yeah. Unless it's a really high-skilled area, then you have to deal with two of them at the same time. But you're right that you can hit both of them at the same time, actually, once they split up. And deal even extra damage that way for each individual attack. And okay, so the Miranda Cave is where Roman found the +10 stone. That's pretty huge, because right now, as I said earlier, like he didn't really lose out that much by having a lower upgrade than Niorra. Simply based on the fact that these bosses die fairly quickly. But now that he's entering these higher scaled areas, it's quite good for him that he got to the max level as well. All right, Nox Duo gonna be next now for Roman. And instead, Niorra actually, before heading over to Kaled, oh, it's Romina, okay. Time to get serious.
Sketchy.
Yeah, why is
because the butterflies on Romina's face transition are, I don't know what's wrong with them. I think they're actually just unscaled, because they hit very hard and can one-shot you.
Oh, this is kind of scary now for Roman. He needs to find the place.
Yeah, he definitely needed that riposte. It does seem like he's found a spot.
Nice.
With no butterflies. And
okay,
yeah,
that's
fine.
good. Yeah, I was gonna say, this is like really, really good to have such a heavy weapon for, because you can essentially force the face transition on your own terms when you get a stagger. but because he didn't get the riposte, he couldn't run away on time, and he got stagger locked there instead himself, but he does get a stagger now during phase 2, deals insane amount of damage, doesn't take the riposte, doesn't need it, gets the kill in the end. Very well done. Despite being a little bit of a scary moment, he does get another point on board. And yeah, Niorra, instead of heading over to Khaled, he's actually heading over to the Soldier of Godric replacement, where he finds a Dragonkin Soldier. This is like basically the lowest scaled area that you can get, so the damage here should kind of speak for itself. And it's, yeah, very interesting. We do see heavy scaling now, heavy affinity on Niorra's weapon, who used the Eruption Ash of War, put it on his weapon. Meanwhile, Roman's still actually just using the stock Bloodfiend's arm.
Maybe I'm missing something with this weapon, but it's really not what I think I would do in this situation. I don't think this is better than a Colossal weapon, on heavy or unattuned. Especially when you have the Shadow Sunflower, which is the same moveset, but much higher damage usually than just a raw Bloodfiend's arm.
Yeah, it's one of those things I mentioned at the very beginning before we even started, is that another skill set that is being tested here is the usage of your tools. And interestingly enough, he's actually, Roman, that is, he's leveling Faith, yeah, and he's trying to put Eruption now on his weapon. He realizes that you cannot make it sacred with Eruption, only fire. And so he's gonna opt for heavy now as well.
He's missing damage, though, by not realizing that Flame Art is pretty much the same as Sacred, but with fire damage.
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible he doesn't want fire damage for some reason, but I don't see it as a I don't know. Maybe.
No, I think you bring up a good point, and I was gonna say, like, your knowledge here is being tested as well, for sure. And it's one of those things that you can probably prepare for in some capacity, right? But are you really gonna think like, oh, I could get a Bloodfiend's arm and I'm gonna be stuck with a fire-only Ash of War? I'm not gonna be able to use the Sacred, the kind of classic. Yeah, it's fairly unlikely, I think. Like, you have to do some extensive preparation to encounter a situation like this.
Yeah. It's usually something that you just learn after, like, a lot of time playing the game or playing randomizers. It's just like, oh, someone told me that Flame Art is very good on Bloodfiend's arm. Like, even earlier, Jeff, who is one of the players in the top 16, was asking, isn't Bloodfiend's arm better on Arcane, right? And he's a very good player, right? One of the best players in the league, but it's, yeah, this information is usually not something you know unless you've been told.
Yeah, it's very niche. And the nature of FromSoft games doesn't help. Like, the amount of knowledge that we have to data mine from the game that no one ever would basically tell us in terms of the development team is kind of ridiculous. And even then, it just gets quite complex because there are so many different subsystems and so many different weapons and tools that you can use. All right, but let's focus a little bit on the game. Godskin Noble goes down for Roman, who's now defeated most of the bosses here in Khaled. He has just about 2 left here in Lower Khaled. Let's see what the Exarch's replacement is. Meanwhile, Niorra, instead of heading over to Lower Khaled, opts to go into the Liurnia stuff. So he found Astel in an Everjail. It's actually quite scary. Now finds an Imp who knocks him off Torrent. Luckily, no bleed procs there. Astel can be quite scary in an Everjail for the same reason that dragons can be. Astel can just teleport behind the fog wall and then send meteors and just do a lot of dumb stuff that you don't want to see. Luckily for Niorra, that did not happen. He's heading over to the Lakeside Crystal Cave, while at the same time Roman is defeating the Crystallian and the Demi-Human Chief as well. That can be a little sketchy with that kind of scaling. And I think, yeah, what we're gonna see from him instead of the Khaled Catacombs right now is actually what you mentioned earlier with the Gel Cave. He's heading over there right now, and he might not be going for the skip, actually, because he equipped the Whale that makes his footsteps silent, so he might just be running through, actually.
Interesting. I am curious how long it takes to run through. I wish I kind of looked at his time when he got the enemy felled. Because I know that this cave is... There's a skip inside this cave that does cut down the time considerably. So it's maybe a minute to run through, but I'm not sure how long it takes to actually get here.
He's looking back now. So he might actually... Okay, what's the play here? Yeah, just Memory of Grace is out.
Okay, that answers that.
Yeah, he did get out of combat. He managed to actually warp on time. So instead, he gets to keep his runes, his 60k, and is now going to head over to Liurnia. So he just opens that cave, and we'll try to keep it for later. That is really an interesting play to be as well. Yeah, I agree. Simply because I feel like going for Caelid Catacombs, like that is like around 1 minute 24 seconds from Exikes. I wonder if he's going to come back from that, from the Grace, maybe? Like if he's going to do both of those checks?
It is quite a bit slower from the Grace. It is 15 to 20 seconds slower.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is a promised consort on phase 2. That is what he saw and decided he wasn't going to fight as his first boss.
I cannot blame him, exactly. First playoff match, first boss is consort phase 2.
First boss that you see in Liurnia is consort phase 2, and first boss that you see in Limgrave is Malenia. What a seed.
At least, I mean, consort is probably going to drop a lot of money here, though, right? That would have been a good early kill in that regard. But of course, at the very beginning, players do not have their weapons upgraded yet. So it's quite the risky and lengthy endeavor. Well, let's see how Niorra tackles it. Astel's RNG was good for Roman as well. Does get the kill, will continue his killing journey there. Roman still in the lead at 29 to 26, and Niorra now dropping a little bit in health. Make sure to heal up. And now a little bit of stalling from Consort as well. Let's see if he follows up with the big AoE or not. He does. And Niorra gets a hit in. Now we'll have to try to run away. Gets on Torrent. Torrent tanks the AoE for him instead. Grab attack is what you want to see, but not what you want to get grabbed by. Takes quite a bit of time to go through this animation. Niorra knows that this is a pretty bad time loss at the moment. And he's unable to skip the meteor attack as well, so that's really, really unfortunate. If you get good RNG on Consort with such a big weapon, you might be able to get a stagger there and actually with the overkill damage get the kill, but beautiful roll on the phase transition or on the meteor. Yeah, gets the kill clean there, but otherwise, I mean, Niorra, his pulse spiking to 137. He cannot be too happy about that one. However, we have not seen how that fight goes for Roman yet. But yeah, please go ahead.
No, I was going to say maybe at his vigor that would have killed him, but I don't think so. He has a little more than I think would have killed. That attack still does a lot of damage, even at lower scaled areas. But yeah. I do think Niorra is like, some of it is just getting unlucky. Some of it is very small misplays, and he's like bleeding 5-10 seconds here and there. And it's definitely starting to show, I think. As the scores kind of crystallize around this time, it's like, okay, this is what the pace is looking like.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things is what someone in chat pointed out. We do actually have one of the Dectus halves for Niorra. He did get it somewhere. The thing is, it might be just one of these Liurnia bosses that Roman hasn't gotten to yet. But that could be one of the pivotal points. If one player finds both Dectus halves and the other one doesn't, that could decide the match straight up.
For sure, yeah. Dectus is basically an extra 2 bosses that over Makar, and also obviously so much safer than running through Ruinstream Precipice. So, yeah. If Niorra manages to find the full Dectus, he can equalize and potentially even win.
Another interesting point will be if Niorra goes to the Church of Wows here after the Tree Sentinel. Earlier in the match, we saw Roman just skip that. He's not going to be killing that boss. That could be a Dectus half. You never know. The chances of it are pretty low, but any kind of small deviation of routing like this could play a big role.
For sure.
All right, nice damage. Niorra gonna pick up these items as well. And yeah, he also warps away. He actually doesn't go to the church. So both players having the same routing in Liurnia in that regard.
Interesting that they both opted to not go there. I've sort of seen it as becoming more meta as the season went on. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a slower seed, so I do understand it. they're not going at the craziest pace of all time,
Mm-hmm.
and their builds aren't hyper optimized either. So it makes sense that you don't want to stack too many slow checks in case you run out of time before going to Altus.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, both these players have done enough practice that they can recognize when they're on a really good pace and when the pace is a little bit slower. And as Helios pointed out, you do want to try to go to the most dense areas, the densest areas of bosses, right? Before you run out of time. Like if you go for a lot of one-offs and then you cannot do the high efficiency areas, it's going to be a pain. But at the same time, what is also a pain is the sunflower.
And this watchdog with ads, both very irritating bosses. But one significantly more than the other. But
yeah, the crystal darts also being put to good use by Roman. Yeah, interesting that Niorra does go for this kill. I mean, now suddenly the fire damage doesn't look too bad if they had it.
Yeah, luckily for Niorra, this is a much more common check to go for. This is not out of the way. His opponent is also likely to come here and either decide to skip or fight the boss.
So how would you decide? Like, what would be some of the deciding factors if you wanted to skip it or not?
I would usually just check my damage and my pace, I think, and make a call based on that. But it is somewhat feely. If you're feeling good, you might just go for it, even though it's lower damage than you've had another time.
Okay, but this is gonna be super interesting now because Roman, as you pointed out, he doesn't even actually check the damage. He basically just decides to peace out immediately, which I can also understand. I feel like one of the safe rules is like, okay, if you have Sunflower in an early area like Rimgrave, you kind of go for it. If you don't, you just kind of decide to skip it. But let's see, if this was Decta's half, this would be insane. Let's see.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a big map imp here. Oh my god. Just tanking the frames.
Yeah, no Dectus for Niorra like for Roman. He does not get the drop there. Okay, let's see how Niorra handles this. Okay, Niorra's gonna take a lot of damage. He has to be super careful. His physic right now, healing him to full. Now the AoE is on the ground as well. He's trying to roll away. Luckily, this Imp Mouth actually does take a lot of damage from his hits. Yeah, his heart rate spikes up, and so did mine, but luckily Niorra survives to live and fight another day. That was really close. I mean, that's one of the things with randomizers that we talked about, is like just random enemies in random places that you cannot really prepare for. And we saw that for Roman, he just was able to kind of cruise through there, right? Like his frames tanked, but he didn't get knocked off torrent. Meanwhile, Niorra, very similar play and does get knocked off and has trouble there. Physic actually saving him.
Right. Oh, he gets vacuumed from very far into that riposte. Not very happy about that.
Yep. There's again like a realm of kind of minor optimizations. You know, not taking a riposte at the end of the fight, but you do that 2 or 3 times, you save 3-4 seconds every time. That adds up. That adds up over the course of the run, and all these like small decisions and small plays could play a role. Obviously, you need to eliminate the major mistakes. Like you have to not die. You have to be able to finish the fights relatively quickly. But at the top level of competition, which both of these players belong to, yeah, the smallest margins can make the difference. And right now, we're actually seeing a DLC boss, Putrescent Knight, for Roman in this cave.
Yeah, very nice
the damage
skip from
though.
him, but unfortunately, he did not find the fastest boss.
Yep.
His damage is still excellent.
His damage is very good, yeah.
On the whole, it's not too bad. And there's actually a bit of tech on this boss. Even when it's going up, you can hit it for longer than you think. and stagger it out, and he could have done that there, but he instead opted to go for the fan daggers, which made him have to sit through the whole phase transition. And yeah, it's just little things like that start slowly adding up over time to maybe 1 or 2 or 4 bosses even.
All right, well, now we are actually getting to the serious part. We are 55 minutes into the match. The score is 34-31 for Roman, and he's heading over to Dragon Barrow. I mean, this could be huge. Let's see what the bosses are. He immediately drinks his physic, finds Godskin Apostle. I mean, this could potentially be a snail as well, but it is not. It is real Godskin Apostle. Let's see how good Roman is with this fight. He applies the freeze grease to his weapon. Does very decent damage. But you can see that suddenly, this is not like killing bosses in 3 hits like we have seen for most of the match. Alright, gets a nice stagger. Gonna take the riposte.
Still a very good weapon for this boss.
Oh, absolutely. Nice dodging as well.
Quick staggers, yes.
Nice. Yeah, there's a stagger. He always sits down a little bit, waits for a little bit of stamina to recharge before he takes the riposte. That's a smart play. But you can see he takes a lot of damage. Playing it very safe. Making sure that he heals up whatever damage he takes. And he's about... Oh, he gets a stagger with the splash damage, actually. Insane. Does get a really nice kill. Very good.
Doesn't take the riposte. Yeah. And that'll net him not as many runes as you'd think. It was 46,000. I'd be very disappointed if I got 46,000 out of that.
Yeah, for Godskin Apostle, if you consider the runes to difficulty ratio, yeah, definitely not one of the best ones. Yeah. Usually want to try to see something like a Remembrance boss or something there, even though those can be very tanky, of course, replacing a BBK here.
For sure. I think your ideal bosses are like a Margit or a Godric.
Yeah.
They're Remembrance bosses, but they're not too difficult. They're early game. They still drop a lot of runes. And I think Roman caught a Placidus Axe on the other bridge as he ran through this one, and Esgar on this one, so not the greatest Dragon Barrow of all time.
Definitely the case right now. He is a little bit lucky with Esgar not actually engaging in combat. Lets his dogs die. Not a very good pet owner. But yeah, this is where... Yeah, Roman has to be super careful now because these bleed procs, it hasn't happened yet, but any bleed proc could mean death. And of course...
Esgar is a boss that can kill you even in Limgrave when you're playing this format. And to see him in Dragon Barrow is just very scary.
Yeah.
He can do a lot of damage just like that with 1 bleed and a couple hits and you're dead.
Yeah, he uses the Reduvia dagger, swarm of flies. You can see super, super annoying for Roman. But right now he's actually at a pretty good health. Gonna deal with more flies as well. About halfway done with this fight. Actually blocks the flies, which leaves him a little bit open for a moment. But luckily, nothing really happens there. Both the NPC and the player now actually jumping over each other. And these rolls backwards are making me a little bit nervous. For Reduvia, generally you want to roll sideways. Otherwise you can actually get roll called as well. Nice jump being interrupted. And a charge R2. He does get the kill in the end. Very well done. Alright. What's Niorra going to be up to now? He tries to warp away to first step. I do believe he wants to probably go to lower Kaled now as well, which will probably see him catching up a little bit in the boss count. Someone asked if this is a good pace for either of these players and if the lead is considered good right now, but actually let's hold that thought because Niorra's heading over to Malenia now in Limgrave. Misses the first opening attack. Obviously, one of the things with this boss is that face tanking a lot means that the boss also heals up a little bit. But obviously, the damage that Niorra deals is kind of insane at the moment. Cannot kill with the riposte because of this hotfix. And there's a waterfowl as well that will go through, but does not track because the phase transition is happening right now. Oh, he will get... He doesn't get rotted.
Yeah, very unglitchy Malenia. Very normal behavior from her.
Yeah, very normal. He does get rotted, but he already prepared the bolus. Speaking of rot, we also have Commander O'Neill now for Roman. In Dragon Barrow. This is definitely a scary boss as well. Ooh,
this is very bad.
Yeah, he's getting headshotted.
This is the boss that I would skip in Dragon Barrow.
No,
it's not worth. Yeah, that's just very risky, very high damaging. Can combo you.
Yeah, I think what Roman is hoping for potentially is that he gets behind one of these pots so that the archers cannot actually reach him with the arrows. The thing is, I believe if the boss does some attacks, he might just be able to also break the pots. But Roman right now, Nerves of Steel, he's actually going for the fight still. Is getting hit. Oh, doesn't roll correctly. Runs away from the AoE.
Gets his life saved by the tier.
Yeah. Great catch there as well. Now Commander O'Neill is actually summoning even more help. Luckily for Roman, those will spawn in the same area where all the other ones are. He's down to one flash. Does get a stagger. He's gonna get the kill here. That is actually insane. That is crazy.
I am curious how much this boss drops. I can't imagine it's that much. Yeah. 56,000 for that. Again, not really what you want. I've gotten 70k out of a duelist before.
Oh, man.
So
that is rough.
Definitely a bit of a scam, I'm afraid.
That is crazy. We have to remember that it's basically just a lower Kaelid boss, so normally not that insane either when it comes to the rune drops. But yeah, again, the ratio of difficulty to rune gain, not really there. All right, Niorra on the left side. He also first tries the Celia Crystal Tunnel skip. Very well done by both players. Impressive to see.
Very nice.
Bloodfiend angry that they stole his weapon, slashes Niorra, or slams him down to the ground. Okay, Roman now clearing up a little bit of Limgrave. Oh, gets a huge attack there on the Deathbird. Definitely going to be saving time over Niorra on this fight, who was here a lot earlier with the rot staff. All right, Dragon Barrow done for Roman, though. That has to be definitely a big weight kind of lifted off his shoulders, right? Being able to clear up the bosses there. Knows that he doesn't have to go to that high-skilled area anymore.
I will say in terms of pace, Roman is definitely a bit closer to where you want to be at this time. This is still not a crazy run by any means, but he could be getting pretty close to an 80, especially if this back half of the run goes well. Niorra slightly behind right now.
Yeah, again, hard to say exactly by how much though, because this area that he's going to is going to be very dense with bosses at the same time. Roman is now in Limgrave, you know, he's going to be one or two shotting some bosses, so he gets extra points out of that. So it's just hard to say exactly. But I think your insight is, I think it's very, very accurate. And yeah, arguably the second half of these runs, you know, even more important than the first, simply because the bosses will take a longer time. It will be a little bit easier to die as well. And then depending on how much time you have left, you might be able to actually go for some like really efficient play. All right, Red Wolf now dies in one hit, quite
One
literally,
shot.
actually. All right, Romina now for Niorra. Let's see how this fight goes.
This is one of the most dangerous fights we've seen so far because of the aforementioned one-shot potential. Does get a stagger, gets a greedy R1, and gets the riposte. Okay, he might one-cycle this boss.
Oh, it's so close. He will probably try to use the crystal darts, but he's standing in the butterflies right now. Like, he does get the kill, surely. Never mind, not yet. Oh my god, the greed.
He lives. He lives. Oh. That's the important part.
That was crazy.
We see his heart rate jump to 145.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I think it was a crazy cool play to try and go for the crystal dart kill. I think that makes a lot of sense. But the thing is, the butterflies are going to stay there even if the boss dies. So you're still going to have to find the safe spot.
Right. Unfortunately, also, when she is in that state, she takes significantly lower damage. So it's a bit difficult to kill her there.
Yeah, definitely a quicker fight though still, compared to what Roman put up. And now we'll see, this is where I suspect the Deathless half was, so we'll see if Roman also finds it now. Because that's like one of the few things that these runners have, or rather Niorra has done, that Roman hasn't. Yep, there it is.
Yep, there's the Deathless half.
All right, that's great. I mean, you'll have to see that. I think it would be quite disappointing to see a result decided by some random check that one player decides not to do. Luckily, this Deathless is definitely in a cave that's one of the faster ones, and most players are going to go for this one. It just depends on when, right? It depends on when, because it's just a one-off. Like, you make no map progression, so you can decide when you want to do it, but obviously before Altus, preferably.
Right. It's one of the ones that is quick enough that you definitely always want to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're losing to a Dectus that was in I don't know, the Watchdog Catacomb in Limgrave, it's like, okay, at least that was a slower check. It made sense for me to not do it. But if it's here, it's really difficult to say that it was an accident or that you lost because
just unlucky.
It was your fault. It was your fault if you didn't check something that fast.
Yep. I mean, that's one of the dangers, though. We talked about it with Randocalypse quite a bit as well. You obviously get to kill a lot of bosses, upwards of 80 in these 2 hours. It's a very long run. And you can see both runners are actually kind of pivoting around, right? They do not go exactly through one area, clear it, go to another area, clear it. Instead, they are going back and forth. It's possible that sometimes you just forget. That also happens.
Right. For sure. Yeah, I mean, I do believe something like that happened yesterday to Gustav, actually. He had Broadview Balcony, and at this very boss that Roman is fighting right now, the Erdtree Avatar replacement, it had a Dectus half, and he had the other half, but he missed full Dectus, which cost him quite a bit of time. And that wasn't the only difference maker in that match, but it definitely played a part in their score difference.
Yeah, so not just a test of knowledge, not just a test of mechanical skills, but also of memory. It's kind of crazy. All right, we see Ghostflame Dragon for Roman. He decides to strip off his armor so that he's not heavy when power stancing, and decides to power stance his Bloodfiend arm and the Sunflower as well. Having a little bit of trouble with this boss. You can see that it's very, very tanky. Honestly, like, I'm not even sure that I would be going for this power stance, simply because the charge R2 on the Sunflower is so good. Like, I'd rather just have my full charge R2 hit with the Holy Weapon. Right now, half of his damage is Holy and half of his is physical.
It is Strike, which is still very good on these
That's
bosses,
true.
but the charge R2s on the Sunflower are very good. You kind of want that, like, Holy damage component to be as big as possible.
Yeah, and I feel like you can
bonus damage from them.
Exactly, and I feel like you also can get more of a consistent stagger with that. I think it's easier to actually hit the boss with a charge R2 than it is with a jump L1.
We did see a few misses there, and you know, every miss you lose just a little bit of time, and it starts adding up at the highest level.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see if Roman also decides to actually stick with this build. Right now, he hasn't changed his inventory. He hasn't arguably had the time. Right, like this is not really a straight running section right now. Oh, gets almost sniped there by a comeback. Actually, avoids any kind of incident. Luckily, he's going to be running over through the tunnel. The tunnel sometimes can be a little scary. There's a lot of enemies around here, and speaking of from experience, they can also invite themselves to the boss fights because the fog wall actually spawns a little bit later. You open a door, and then the fog wall spawns shortly thereafter. And the enemies, if they manage to jump through you here on the door opening animation, they might be there. So not looking back is a little scary.
They can trap you between the door and the fog wall while a Deathrite Bird puts a trail of Ghost Flame.
That's a crazy specific example. I wonder how you came up with that.
I wonder if it happened to someone.
Yeah, it's probably pretty unlikely. All right, the tunnel was good though. It It was Gary there who got 2 shots with this build. Right now, Roman just sticking to the power stance. We'll see. Now it's going to be the running section that will determine, in my opinion, if he wants to stick with this build or if he wants to go back to one-handing. And meanwhile, Niorra is on the left side of your screen in the Kaelid Catacombs. So this is quite a different routing choice. Instead of going to the jail cave, he's heading over to the Kaelid Catacombs that normally house a cemetery shade.
And again, whenever there's a routing difference, if this has Deathless, it would be just a massive advantage.
Yeah.
So we will keep our eyes peeled for that.
And Roman now heading over to the Mad Pumpkin Duo. This is obviously a very efficient area as well around Clean Road Balcony. He finds the Skeleton Cemetery Shade. Without armor, this could be kind of scary because the Cemetery Shade will deal tons of bleed damage. He's using Eruption right now. Oh, the Eruption one-shots, luckily for him.
He uses the Hyper Armor very intelligently there. Yep. That was good. I was going to say, before the Cemetery Shade made me realize that bleed is dangerous, that the 2 worst bosses to find are Wormface and Deathblight Lion when you're without any armor, and he has actually already killed one of them, I believe, with the Wormface. So the risk is lower, but that Cemetery Shade can also just combo you when you don't have any armor and get like 2 bleed procs. So,
yeah, Cemetery Shades, they also deal extra damage from their bleed procs than is the standard, so it's very, very scary.
I didn't know that. That makes sense.
Did I just see, am I tripping? Did I just see a kill text on Roman's screen, even though he's running around? Oh, he might have just, like, I'm not exactly sure.
It's possible that a boss died somehow of gravity or something.
Yeah, that sometimes happens, but I might just be tripping as well. Chad has to back me up on this. I might have like...
It has happened before, but...
Yeah, and in Dragon Barrow as well, that's why I'm like a little more sussed out, because sometimes the bosses do fall off there, but I think I was just tripping. Yeah, the gray sliding text? Okay, that makes actually a lot more sense.
Yeah, those are very similar.
Yeah. And they're in French, so like, how can I tell? I don't speak French. Unlucky. Both players having their games in French.
Jump build's doing very good on that Magma Worm. Just completely destroying it. And yeah, another Ghost Flame Dragon. And you're actually opting for that one-hand or two-handed moveset like we discussed earlier. Favoring just the single weapon.
Yeah, unfortunately, the stagger actually leaves the dragon on top of the arena, so he's unable to get a big punish there. Actually, in fact, it's basically no punish on the stagger. That's a little bit unfortunate.
That was actually very strange because he started phase transitioning, which is when they usually have hyper armor. But then he got the stagger.
Yeah.
It's very odd from the Ghost Flame Dragon, but he gets it done. Nicely done.
Yeah, I wonder if there was like almost a frame-perfect interaction where basically the animation transition is when he got staggered, because we saw still the special effect around the dragon's body, right, from the face transition, as you mentioned. So maybe that was actually fairly like lucky/unlucky. Another Dragon Barrow boss, this time the Bell-Bearing Hunter replacement for Roman on the right side. He's fighting the Grafted Scion. Grafted Scion luckily does take a lot of damage, but at the same time, it is still Dragon Barrow scaling, so he's going to dish out a lot of damage himself as well.
Right. This is very much a glass cannon boss. Unfortunately, don't think it will drop a lot of runes either. But it's a point. Point's a point.
Niorra now heading over, actually kills the beetle there, Invisible Scarab, gets a Royal Greatsword plus 10. I don't think we'll be seeing that in action too much unless somehow Frost is usable. I don't really see why you would switch off from the weapons that they are using at the moment. He checks the merchant as well, finds a Stone Sword key there, buys it. Nothing else useful though.
Unfortunately for the Royal Greatsword, the devs decided that it only gets Frostbite on the Asher War, so it's not really very usable.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those ashes that takes forever to actually cast. It's like you need a partner to kind of tank for you while you use it. And both players now converging back in Liurnia. Niorra heading over to Bellum Highway. He's gonna be, well, he's not gonna be, yeah, he's fighting Soldier of Godric. Gets him in one kill. That's a scary boss to get out of the way, of course, as we all know.
Yeah, very lucky that he got the one shot. It's a bit of a lower scaled area. Oh, and he gets Shard of Alexander, I think. Or no, that's just Warrior Jar Shard out of that kill.
Mm-hmm.
Not something he's super excited about, but it could be useful, I think, at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it boosts skill damage on weapons, so if you are using some kind of a weapon that has a good Ash of War, you will want to equip it. It's just another tool to have in your arsenal. Let's see how Roman handles this Ghost Flame Dragon. He's going to be heading over to this Royal Revenant arena. Oh, his damage is... I mean, when he gets the full hit, like, his damage is definitely better than the one-handed, or rather, two-handed moveset. Yeah, gets a very quick stagger as well. Gonna try to go for the head. Gets the same meme that Niorra did, but realizes instantly, actually. Unfortunately for Niorra, he was doing a charge R2, basically, expecting the dragon to fall on the ground, and that didn't happen. Roman realizes instantly and just finishes the kill there, right there and then. That's great. Great job from him.
Yeah, very good kill.
Niorra in northeastern Liurnia. Roman heading in the same direction. Gonna be fighting the scary Soldier of Godric boss as well, momentarily. And now let's see what's the Erdtree avatar replacement. And it will be Putrid avatar. Wow, crazy.
Yeah, this is another one of those bosses where, like, damn, if he had Flame Art, he'd be one-shotting it probably. But
he might still try to use Eruption. Let's see. Oh, he misses because his lock-on actually targets an enemy all the way in the back.
Yeah, that's a classic Elden Ring right there.
Okay, he just goes for the charge R2, gets insane damage anyways. Gets the kill as well. And now going to be heading over to the Black Knife Catacomb, which is a little scary. I mean, that's where we saw Gustav die yesterday. So far, our only death of the playoffs was this Catacomb, which sometimes can be very scary because there's a lot of enemies. And the only way for you to progress is to ride one of the traps upwards to the upper floor. And while you're trying to do that, if there's a lot of enemies also hitting you at the same time, it might be quite sketchy. So we'll see what the players have to deal with here.
Yeah, this catacomb is almost always varying degrees of cursed, but still cursed. One of the easiest places to die in any randomizer run like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to take this very seriously. Exactly. And it's also one of those things where you do not see what the enemies are in this room ahead of time. But it seems to be actually chill for Niorra right now. He does find also the Tree Spirit in the upper floor, which is mildly annoying. But luckily, you know, covers your entire screen so you know kind of what you're dealing with. Jumps around, gets the one cycle as well. And now he's using one of the crystal knives to actually proc the illusory wall, save a little bit of time as well. Heads over to the boss fight. Finds, yeah, another great boss.
Yeah, another very fast boss, very much bullyable with the Colossal Weapon. Gets into hyper armor immediately, but nice dodges. And yeah, it's dead.
Finds a physic tier that boosts holy damage, actually. That would have been really good. Potentially for the Sunflower weapon down the line as well. Even though that's also like another small thing, it's not something that you consider, but like an extra sit down to, you know, change up your flask also takes a little bit of time. So you always have to evaluate if the switch up is really necessary, if you're going to save the time by having that extra damage potentially. Especially for someone like Roman, who's basically half using the Sunflower, right? By power stancing.
Right.
Margit for Niorra. serving as the second boss, taking a lot of damage as well. Gets the kill very quickly. And interestingly, Roman, he didn't care about the other enemies here at the Putrid Avatar. He just goes for the fight immediately. We saw Niorra waste a few seconds. Waste a few seconds by waiting for the boss to kind of shuffle towards him. Roman does get the kill.
Something interesting to point out, that their pace has, like, the gap has shrunk ever so slightly. It's only a 2 boss difference right now. And that is significant, but it's not significant enough to be comfortable.
Yeah.
It's one bad memory of grace that you're forced to do, or one boss that takes a little, or maybe like 3 bosses that take a little too long, and suddenly, you know, your opponent's right on your tail. Of course, the players don't know that. They don't know how their opponent is performing. Yeah, they have to keep playing, keep pushing.
Yeah, speaking of pushing, I mean, this is right now one of the scary parts as well for Niorra. He's heading over to Dragon Barrow, fighting the Apostle. He's having a really good fight. Recognizes how much poise damage he's dealing with its weapon. Gets a really clean kill overall. But this is one of those moments where this can make or break a run, especially that Commander O'Neill later on that we know is there. But you could either waste time, you might decide to skip the boss, you might, die, worst case scenario. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. We want to have the most competitive match, but it's one of those moments where this gap will either shrink or it might get a little bit bigger as well. Niorra also still has the upper Kaled area, which is fairly dense with bosses. Meanwhile, Roman is doing a double catacomb right now, so there's a lot of quick checks right now for both players. And right now, Basilisk pestering Roman a little bit. Okay, Esgar for Niorra. How's that one gonna go?
Yeah, this is one of the more dangerous bosses that we've seen so far. Maybe even the most, but it is... Oh, he also gets somewhat lucky that he aggroes the boss without aggroing the dogs.
Yeah, this is even a better scenario because Roman had to deal with the dogs at first.
Right. Well, assuming the dogs don't come in to deal the finishing blow later. He
Definitely,
does get it down, though.
Yeah, he gets a really, really nice fight. It's very passive behavior from Esgar there. That is definitely part of the variance, part of basically any kind of Elden Ring run. It's not just the randomizer. The randomizer can determine a lot of things RNG-wise, but bosses will always act randomly, and one player might get good RNG, another player gets another, worse pattern, but over the course of 2 hours, hopefully it evens out a little bit.
For sure.
Okay, let's see. Niorra definitely not skipping the fight. He jumps right in.
Yeah, this is a big moment. This is another very dangerous boss in this seed.
Switches to the Rotten Staff.
Switch to the Rotten Staff. I hope he knows that O'Neill, in fact, does not rot. Would be unfortunate to find out at a time like this.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's actually going to find out. Luckily, the damage is still pretty good. Like, he's missing out on some damage, but it's still definitely not that bad. He does take a lot of damage from that hit there. Gets shot with an arrow to his hand as well. Luckily, not a headshot, so he doesn't get staggered. Both players having a very similar approach to that boss, actually. Like, basically going in the same direction. Okay, takes another big hit. 3 flasks left.
Tagged again. Is forced to dodge towards the arrows, which is not what he wants, for sure. Well-timed stagger, though, for sure. It's cutting down a bit on that summoning phase.
Yeah, now he's going to try to not proc the stagger, hopefully, during this hyper armor moment. At the same time, he's probably not thinking about that too much. Yeah, he's just getting as many R1s as possible. He does actually get the last hits. The summons are still there, but they do not reach him on time.
Very well played. Got it down. And he's actually opting to keep going and go for the Dragon Barrow Cave down here with a little skip.
Yeah, plays it nice and safe. His heart rate up at 150. He knew that was an important moment. He clutches it out, though. But the fight is not over yet. I mean, this is also another like big moment where potentially there could be a Dectus half here.
That's true, yeah.
Sits down, levels up using the runes that he got from this Dragon Barrow journey. Of course, he also wanted to get back his flasks. He was down to 2. Meanwhile, Roman, he is clearing up what he skipped earlier. He cleared up Malenia. Now he's heading over to Consort. He will have the Frost Grease for it. We'll see if that makes any meaningful difference.
I don't know if you can get the Frost to proc on this boss. This boss is pretty resistant to Frost unless you're doing some kind of scripted kill with the Grease, like they do in the speedruns.
Okay, he does get a really fast stagger, though. That's quite huge. I do think he might not be able to skip the meteors this way. His RNG is very good, though, so far. One more hit. Oh, he doesn't have stamina. Oh, he does get the kill, actually. Oh, my God.
No, not even close. He never doubted himself.
That's a huge time save for Roman. Meanwhile, Niorra, he's dealing with the Golem here. In Dragon Barrow, gonna be able to get the kill.
We will see. Is this a Dectus half? And yeah, right on... Not a Dectus half. Right on cue with about the time you're supposed to start going toward Altus. Roman has started his journey towards Makar, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, I mean, so far it looks like both players are going to have to do that, unless there's going to be some kind of a weird check that Roman hasn't done that Niorra wants to go for. I'm not really sure what that would be here. However, it is yeah, quite interesting that the number of bosses they've done before Altus will be different. Right? That's one of those things as well. Like, how long do you want to put off having to go through Makar? Basically trying to go for like all the one-offs that you can think of in order to find Dectus. And when do you actually decide to kind of pull the trigger so you have more time in Altus for the efficient map routing there? And we can see that for Roman, it is 54 bosses. And for Niorra, it's probably going to be a bit more. He's right now at 53. He will be able to hopefully pick up 1, 2, 3 or so bosses here at Clean Road Balcony. That puts him to 56 already.
Yeah, we seem to be having a lot of chances for Dectus Diff this seed. Not something you ever want to see, obviously, as a commentator. Or as a player, honestly. Unless you're the person who is getting the Dectus Diff.
Okay, Niorra smartly also switching to the Sunflower. Gonna be using only that singular weapon. Yeah, the damage isn't great. I mean, the damage is very good, all things considered, but like, it's still like fairly low-skilled part of Kaelid. Okay, these headshots are proving me wrong right now. He's stacking up the multi-hit talisman as well. Okay, that was a never mind. That was a very quick kill. That was a very quick kill.
Yeah, that was a fast fight. As it goes with dragons when you get the stagger.
Yeah, and he's also gonna head over to this catacomb right after. One of the slower checks to do, for sure. Like, he's kind of playing with fire here, I think, right? Because he's cutting out the time that he will have for Altus. Maybe he thinks he can get enough stuff done in Altus in the remaining time. He's going to have about maybe like 25 minutes for it, maybe a little bit less.
Altus really has that boss density, and you want to be able to hit most of Altus to maximize your score, especially on Makar seeds, where, you know, it's tough. Because on one hand, you really don't want to get Dectus Diffed, and on the other hand, right, you're not done with all your pre-Altus checks, but you need to go Makar, but you don't want to go Makar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, it's a tough place to try and make a good decision. I think one of the few factors that you have that you can consider perhaps is the pace of the run. Like, if you can tell if the run is good or not, you can decide to greed a little bit more, right? Because if you have a good run,
for sure, yeah,
then you can decide, okay, I'm gonna go for more one-offs because I will have more time for Altus anyway. And if I luck out into Dectus, then great, right? Then maybe I'll just steamroll my opponent. But right now, I think both players realizing, as you said, this is probably not the fastest seed that we will see in the tournament. So it's interesting to see Niorra's decision making, and I'm very curious how much he's actually gonna do. Right now, this precipice for Roman looking decent. I don't want to jinx anything. He's gonna have to deal with this cavalryman. Gets around it.
Yeah, unless it comes back around, but it seems to be all clear.
Yeah, as long as he gets up this ladder, then there's just one more elevator to take. And he's hopefully in the clear. Niorra also finishes up the tree sentinel that was inside of the catacomb there.
Yeah. Niorra is definitely playing with fire here. If he can somewhat salvage this as long as he prioritizes the right checks when he gets to Altus. But he will be losing about a boss or so if he ends up not finding that second Dectus half.
Okay, Roman making it to Makar. Switching up his build a little bit. Finds Godric. Going for his power stance build as well. I mean, right now, I have to say that the power stance build has been performing pretty well for Roman. Like, he's done a pretty good job with it as well. Gameplay-wise.
For sure, yeah. The power stance is the strongest build with these conditions, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fairly well put, yeah. With the upgrade, like weapon upgrade conditions and the fact that you can upgrade one tool and then end up having two upgraded weapons out of it. Of course, it would be a very different matter entirely if you had to like go back and upgrade another weapon, right? Then you're wasting a lot of time as well, just upgrading. But here the players can simply drop it and pick it back up.
It's time and money, and you also have to consider that in this tournament, the weapons actually don't have any stat requirements. So, for example, the Sunflower requires 24 faith normally, but you are able to use it without getting that faith requirement, which, if you had to get it, you would have less strength or less endurance or less vigor, and you'd have to make a lot of trade-offs, but you don't in this format. So you are allowed to go for crazy builds like these much earlier than you normally would in a real game.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. One that I forgot to mention is that, of course, neither player has to be leveling up to use either of the weapons, which basically makes it possible to use kind of any tool that you find if you deem it worthy. Okay, for the first time, Niorra actually taking the lead in the match. He gets 56 first. I have to say, if both players died right now, and that's how he finished, Niorra would take the win. However, we are fully expecting the players to increase their score, at least for the time being. That being said, this cave, the Sage's Cave that Roman is in, is a little scary as well, because there are two bosses back-to-back. If the first one is something bad, or the second one, and you do not have the most tools, which I mean, especially healing, then maybe you will be a little bit in trouble. He also didn't take the Grace. That's one of the things I have learned. Like, I think it's probably worth it to take the Grace, just in case you have to Memory of Grace now. It's so fast to run through this cave for the second boss that it's still worth it to, like, run back. Right? Yes. Instead of doing another check elsewhere.
Especially so in this specific format, because again, one of the bigger changes from regular Elden Ring and past formats is that lighting Graces is now really, really fast. It has been it's almost 4 times faster than it was. So it takes about 1 second to grab the Grace, which definitely incentivizes grabbing more Graces, getting a little more safe.
That's a great quality of life feature because in theory, like both of these runs are timed with in-game time, right? Like we are lucky that both of the players are actually very equal in terms of the time. Like their time left that you can see at the bottom of the screen is pretty much the same. But we have to go by in-game time because each player is going to have a different setup. Each player is going to have different loading times, different warp times. And so you do not want to make this basically pay to win. Like have fast load times and that's how you win. No one wants that. So we are going by in-game time. And in that case, it used to be always faster to cancel your warp animation. Sorry, your lighting animation with a warp by lighting from a side and then warping during the turnaround animation. And that's quite annoying because you're basically just saving time over the game or over your opponent if they decide not to do it. But you are just looking at extra load screen. So instead, Forsa decided to speed up the animation, and that's kind of the state that we are at. So Sage's Cave was a little scary there with the fire attack from the Watchdog. Was a little bit of an annoying duo, Watchdog and one of the Nox Priestesses. But Roman does still have 3 flasks, and he also finds an Urchi Avatar. Deals very good damage, gets the stagger. He's going to be able to pick up both of the bosses here. And this is kind of where we see the efficiency of Altus. Like, just like that, you know, he picks up 2 kills and narrows down the score. Instead of 2, it's now a difference by 1 again, right? So, and he did so much running in Precipice that Niorra will inevitably have to do as well, unless this cave has a Dectus, because this is a cave that has not been done by Roman either.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a crazy, like a very crazy. I just want to make that absolutely clear gamble that Niorra could do here is just clear out all of Pre-Altus and then start just running DLC boss and then hoping he gets Skidoo. Because that would technically be able to keep the pace, assuming all of those bosses are easy.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a gamble. You find one moderately tanky boss in the DLC and it's over.
Yeah, that is another great reminder that we do have these two graces available to us, right? The Snowfield and Shadow Altus, that both players can warp to at any moment, but neither player has actually decided to do so for very good reasons, because they are both very highly scaled areas. Both players also fighting Bell-Bearing Hunters at the same time. Roman now having a little bit of trouble. He's rolling away from the Bell-Bearing Hunter because he ended up getting drilled. Takes a lot of damage, but luckily doesn't go down. Manages to heal up, and now the nerves are maybe starting to kick in a little bit. Bell-Bearing Hunter, usually one of those bosses that players at this point have kind of perfected. The strats are fairly clear. Kind of atypical to see this kind of gameplay for a Roman, who's been very solid throughout the entire run. Like, both players making small mistakes here and there, but like nothing insanely major. That's another thing that we have to point out. This is a high-pressure situation. Of course, it's upper brackets. The winner doesn't go home, has another chance to fight through the lower brackets. But it is the first playoff match. You are playing against someone who you know is a very, very capable player. And so, in this high-pressure situations, playing this solid without dying for 90 minutes is remarkable, I think. And it's been a treat to watch the match so far.
And I will say, just to defend Roman a little bit there, I did manage to catch a little bit of his pre-game training, and he was fighting a Bell-Bearing Hunter. He was fighting perfectly. Like, he did a strafe I didn't even know existed. That was just nerves. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he knows that this is also like last 30 minutes of the match, right? Like, the players have 25 minutes left. And now your performance on Altus will pretty much decide the match. Like, you don't know that. Like, your opponent could have died after killing one boss, and you don't know about that. You just have to try and do your best, and that's kind of the beauty of the format in a way, right? It's a little bit of a shame we don't have some kind of interaction between the players, but at the same time, the fact that you never know if you've won or not until the very last moment is also quite exhilarating.
Right. It also might make you take some poor decisions sometimes.
Absolutely, that can happen, yeah.
Yeah. Like, you've already won and you throw away the win. I'm sure it's happened to some people, but I wouldn't know.
Of course not. That's like, if that happened to someone, I'm sure they would completely block it at the like deepest depths of their soul, basically. Only hypnosis would bring it out.
Go for a skip there. That skip saves about 5 seconds to the Goat Forever Jail. Very nice skip.
Yeah, clean pathing there. He fought the double Ultra Avatar, was able to do exactly what you talked about, Helios, where he was basically just hitting the Avatar as he was casting the spell to summon his copy and got a kill there. And now this is going to be interesting. Godskin Duo in Godfrey's Arena is not what you want to see, because these guys are usually pretty tanky here.
His damage is really good, though.
Yeah, surprisingly good.
Especially considering he's doing Strike and Holy, both of which these bosses are very resistant to. Although the Apostle considerably less so than the Noble.
Yeah.
He does get tagged, heals up, no issues.
Yeah, he's playing so aggressive. It's working out for him, though. In the meantime, Niorra has a Watchdog and a Crucible Knight duo here. Siluria, that is. Luckily, these bosses are not dealing the most damage. The most damage they dealt was to each other, but Niorra still has to be a little bit careful because it's 2 bosses at the same time, despite this lower scaling. And yeah, Niorra, he's just doing as much as possible before going to Altus. I wonder if this is going to come to cost him. He realizes that this is kind of a futile search right now. The second Dectus half is not there. I wonder if his line of reasoning, this would be really interesting to ask the player, is that he maybe recognizes his pace is not the fastest. Maybe he thinks that Roman, is the capable player that he is, that he's ahead. And so he's trying to kind of search for this Dectus half in all these checks that Roman might not do. And now finally decides to pull the trigger. Yeah.
So he's probably going to reach Altus around the 143 mark, and 17 minutes, no matter how crazy your build is, you're not clearing all of Altus in that time. So he's going to have to really put work in some smart prioritization there. Really go for only the fastest bosses in Altus and try to make it work with some interesting routing. I hope that's what we see. Because if he just goes the regular path, I don't think he's going to kill a lot of bosses, not reach the max potential of his current run.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. One of the worst case scenarios is that you decide to go for basically a certain chain, and then you spend time running to a boss that might be efficient, but you basically, because you run out of time, you cannot make it to that boss, while your opponent was able to go for that efficient check because he didn't spend as much time doing these less efficient one-offs earlier. So we'll see if it comes down to that. That is kind of crazy. The difference there, like right now, the difference in score is 61 to 60. Niorra still in the lead, but of course he is gonna have to run through Makar now. Meanwhile, Roman is getting all these boss kills potentially in Altus. He's finding a Chief Bloodfiend. Bloodfiend not happy about the robbery again of his own arm. Doesn't matter. Does get riposted to death. Finds the Academy key. Kind of too little too late for that one.
Yeah, somewhat unfortunate. You can save a decent chunk of time, about 45 seconds, if you have that, over running around all the way. But he's already done with Liurnia, obviously.
Yep.
Little wave.
Not much else to do there. Gotta wait it out.
Yeah, everyone in chat wave back to Niorra.
If they don't fight Dectus, they have to go through Makar, which is exactly what Niorra is doing right now. Sometimes also, because you do get these extra graces in some other areas, you might get Altus access from those. It's fairly likely, as Helios pointed out. But right now, in this specific seed, both players only got the DLC grace, and they got a Snowfield grace, neither of which to leads to Altus. So they have to go the old-fashioned way about it. They have to go through Makar. Yeah, there's an Omen Killer chasing Niorra right now. Luckily, he does do the fire attack, which makes him run back. And now Sanguine Noble being replaced by by one of the assassins. Not Alecto, goes down quickly.
We see Roman take back the lead that he had, that he lost, because obviously Niorra is running through Precipice now. Roman did it earlier. So he has taken his lead back, and this is probably more representative of what the lead actually was the entire time. He's going to kill maybe 2 more bosses before Niorra gets through Precipice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is, after all, basically what Niorra needed. And of course, the match isn't over, right? Like, we have 20 minutes left. Anything can happen. Like, Niorra can basically pull out some insane Altus routing. Right now, there's going to be BBK amongst a lot of other enemies as well. He's luckily weak to strike, so the damage that Roman deals is insane, but he also has to be a little bit careful because there's another enemy next to him, and there's another enemy behind the tree as well, so you can't get a little too greedy. But
yeah, this Form-Face Arena is definitely a bit sketchy. The enemies can be really bad a lot of the time, and this is not the easiest boss. The Axe BBK. Bit of a weird moveset.
Bro is greedier than a freaking Scrooge McDuck. Oh my god, he got the kill. That is crazy. He's just like hitting the boss instead of healing. My man, balls of steel. Much respect there for Roman, pushing the tempo as much as possible. Gets a really nice kill. Gonna be heading over to the Windmill Village now, so that probably means he does not want to do that tunnel with the Crystallians. I would assume, because you would normally go there from that boss.
He's either not doing it or he plans to get there using the Rampart side path skip. That skip is a bit risky, so you only want to do it late, but that does save about 5 to 10 seconds overall.
Okay.
Doing it this way.
That does make sense. In the meantime, Niorra now catching up, making it to Altus as well. The score is 63 to 62 for Roman. And this is kind of the state that we are at right now, as Helios pointed out. Now this is a lot more representative of what we see as the routes kind of converge. And it will come down to some of the smallest decisions and to also some of the smallest things in fights. But Roman quite firmly in that one point lead. Finds Renala. That can be a little bit of a scary fight as well, with higher scaling.
And there's a Death Catacomb Sorcerer attacking.
Oh, yeah, that's really spooky.
This is quite spooky, actually. He's continuing to be aggressive.
Yep. I mean, we saw that just now at the BBK. Like, he's not leaving the foot off the pedal at all. Oh, he's safe. He's fine. This is crazy.
Yeah. And maybe this is the reason why his performances have been slightly inconsistent. Because
I mean, yeah.
Some of the seeds do seem lower scores. Maybe this is why, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a great point, right? Because before the match, I pointed out that Niorra has been the more consistent player. He's obviously the number 3 seed, while Roman is the number 14 seed. But in a lot of the places or in a lot of the seeds rather, where Roman scored highly, he scored higher than Niorra. So it might be that he is this kind of high octane, explosive player. If things go well, he gets high scores. If things go poorly, he dies at 5 bosses.
Right. And obviously, playing in the playoffs of DRL, Deathless Randomizer League, you might also try to rein that in. But sometimes the greed just gets you, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Sometimes you want to send it.
And that's the thing, like, there's also the opposite of greed, where you're basically trying to play it safe, but you play it overly safe. You do something you normally wouldn't do. You heal when you normally wouldn't, and then you get yourself in a situation where if you played your normal, you would have been fine. But because you know that this is a higher pressure situation, you basically end up playing too safe and you die because of it. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. All right, the Sage's Cave, first fight going fairly well for Niorra.
And Sage's Cave is one of the best checks to do. Both of these averaged out are about a minute, so they are pretty fast. Definitely checks that you don't want to miss.
Yeah, makes sense so far. Entered Altus, goes for this as the first thing, makes perfect sense for sure. Just to give an idea, a lot of the quick checks are about a minute 10. Anything that's about minute 20 to minute 25 is decent, but not insane value. And anything that's kind of over that would be considered a little bit slower. So if you have 2 bosses, one taking 30 seconds each, so a minute overall, that's incredible value. Okay, Misbegotten Crusader now for Roman. He has so much more map progression now as well. This is something that needs to be stated, even though the score is 65 to 64. Some of these bosses, they need a lot of running to get to. And Roman has done that running already, right? He has been to Windmill Village. He has made it here to the Merchants in the backside of Altus in the battleground. Let's see what the next boss fight is. It seems to be Ulcerated Tree Spirit. This is a little bit of a concerning area as well. Tons of little ads around. Luckily, Tree Spirits, they like to follow you quite far away, so Roman might be able to just bait it away. I mean, right now, it's just going for it.
One of the bigger things to point out is that his damage is also just really good right now. He is chunking these bosses in Altus, which is going to make a difference. And yes, he even gets a Frost proc with the Frost Trees. Tree Spirit's very weak to Frost.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where Roman found the Frost Greases, but he's used it on at least 3 different bosses, while Niorra has not done that, right? He used it in Dragon Barrow, he used it here, and whenever you can get that Frost proc, and your opponent cannot, I mean, yeah, that's a little bit of an advantage. Okay, Knight's Cavalry goes down in place of Gillica for Niorra. He does get a quick kill there as well, but of course a Knight's Cav is usually not very tanky, so the damage there was still very good.
Right.
And I do find it very interesting though that both players have basically found the same weapons, but the build that we see between them is different, right? Like the power stance jump attacks versus not using them.
Yeah, and it has made a significant difference, especially over the course of this many bosses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as soon as we got to the higher skill
well
stuff.
Pace.
Yeah. Yeah, especially once we got to the bosses that were a little tankier, that needed more hits to kill. Okay, Duelist goes down now as well for Roman. Where does he go next? Probably to the Rampart side. Yeah, that seems to be where he's going to be heading right now. And now for Niorra, this is the moment where he needs to decide kind of where he goes first. He has 13 minutes left. He's going to be heading over to the tunnel over here that normally houses the troll. Makes sense. I mean, you get map progression this way. Another interesting angle would have been to maybe from Gillica try to go over towards the Altus Plateau Grace, do Godfroy, do the highway there, and then potentially head over to the Tree Sentinel Duo. Right? That's a little bit unconventional, but it might be the most efficient play for the time left. It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
I think because he is committed to going this direction, Niorra's best bet is probably maxing out this chain, right? Getting this boss, the Sanguine, the Apostle, and then going to the Lancey X3 Sentinel Duo and really squeezing out every boss in this chain. Oh, quit out. Okay, he's
from Roman, yeah, I think has to go to the bathroom, yeah. It's a little bit unfortunate timing. Right. Like, this is one of those things, like, he's not in a fight right now. He didn't go through any high-octane fight, so he obviously doesn't need to calm down. Like, his heart rate should be fine. But at the same time, the opposite might be the problem, where you kind of just get a little too relaxed. You come back, you know, you have to go through a fight. Maybe you're just a little bit off, and you make a mistake that you normally wouldn't. So I guess we will see.
I've usually not quit out in my seeds. Seeing people quit out makes me nervous, but I know that it's in the rules. But
and when you gotta go, you gotta go, man.
To see it. Yeah, I understand that.
It's a long run. It's 2 hours per seed. It's a lot.
For sure.
It does, however, mean that unfortunately the remaining time for both the players is gonna desync a little bit. Apparently, Roman needs to piss often when stressed. Well, then he's done a good job holding it in for this long, I think.
For sure, yeah. Oh my god, okay. He really needed to go.
Yeah. Okay, all eyes on Niorra right now. He will be finding the Black Knife Assassin. And yeah, I think what you said with his routing also makes sense. Like, you just cut out the entire potentially battleground section, because there's quite a bit of a running section to get there first, right? Like, you basically get access to 3 fairly quick bosses, but at the same time, running there from Windmill Village does take a little bit of time. Meanwhile, for Rampart side path, you can always drop down to the Tree Sentinels and to the Grotto and stuff.
Right. He really needs to maximize that chain. I think it's his best odds of getting as many bosses as possible.
Roman is back. Gonna be heading over to the Black Knife Assassin replacement. It looks like Godskin Apostle. This could also be a snail. We'll see what happens. Seems to aggro kind of normally. Oh no, I think it's a snail. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely saw the white coming out there. Not the boss you want to be fighting. It's a bit slow.
He rolls in there. That's crazy. Doesn't take that much damage. Luckily, doesn't heal either. Gonna get the face transition now.
Yeah. He's playing the aggressive that we have known from them this seed.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it worked out. I mean, he had the perfect time to get those 2 jump attacks in. Skips the face transition entirely. And now Niorra going for slightly different routing as well. He doesn't actually head over to the Wormface replacement. He's heading over to the Windmill Village.
I think this is more common from the players. That obviously that Crystallian tunnel skip is a bit risky. Can lead to death. Not something you want to do. Unless you're very comfortable with it.
He does get hit by the phase transition.
Should be getting the stagger. Oh, just misses.
Yeah, just misses, but he's trying to go for some attacks as well during the roll. Does get hit, but luckily that also means that the roll gets interrupted.
Gets it down.
That's what matters, yeah. Okay, how does Niorra handle this tricky situation now? He's actually trying to make as much of a distance between himself and the sorcerer there. Using torrents.
He does get the moon, unfortunately, and interesting running around there, but it seemed to work for him.
I wonder if the idea was to like try and dismount iframe the moon or something.
Yeah, I mean it could have worked. Definitely a bit of rando tech I'm not super accustomed with because don't fight this boss a lot in rando. Gets it down though, very nice. He's gonna be mogging 400k, which no, he gets the warp. Saves his money. Not that it matters too much with 8 minutes on the clock.
Yeah. Yeah, right now he's probably thinking that sitting down and leveling wastes too much time compared to actually having the levels for the fights.
For sure, yeah. You're not going to fight enough enemies that it's worth it, probably.
Okay, Roman rolling the phase transition of the adult falling star beast doesn't actually attack in between. Let's get tagged now as well.
You are making the smart call, by the way, of skipping outskirts.
Yeah.
He's going straight for that Lanciax chain.
That's exactly what I mentioned a little bit, yeah. I think that makes sense. And a lot of, this is kind of a shaky fight from Roman. Maybe it's the piss debuff, I'm not sure, but maybe it's the nerves close to the end of the match. Yeah, he has to be very careful. He takes a lot of damage there. Gets a stagger though. He will be able to finish this kill, surely. Yeah, does get 2 more jump attacks, but a lot can come down to, these last few fights. I mean, the score, 69 to 69, actually. Both players basically in the same location, going for the same bosses.
Roman does have slightly more time because of his bathroom break. He is about a minute and a little bit ahead, but it is tied right now.
Yeah, that is a great point. I almost forgot about that. That allowed Niorra to catch up basically by that 1 point.
And regardless, incredibly close game, like incredible performances from both players. I know I've been nitpicking a lot, as I tend to do, but I think it has to be stated that they are both playing phenomenally. Yeah,
absolutely. I have to second that completely. As someone who also tries to like always put in a lot of work into like small optimizations, I think a lot of the things that we talk about are appropriate because both of these players, put themselves to a really high standard as well. They know they can play incredibly well, and they recognize, we've seen it on their faces, those small mistakes. Like we see it with Niorra a lot. He has a very annoyed face when something doesn't go his way, so it's very clear when something goes a little wrong. But it's incredibly difficult to play out these 2 hours as fast as possible without, dying. And the fact that both players are almost there, is really, really incredible. But right now we have a little bit of a tricky fight now for Roman. He has the Rot Crystallians alongside a Clean Rot Knight. Clean Rot Knight buffing one of these Crystallians, gonna make him heal.
Luckily, he does have strike damage, which hits the Crystallians for very good damage even before they are broken. This Clean Rot Knight, unfortunately, still a menace.
Does go down though, luckily, yeah. This is looking good. Let's see what he decides to do now. Unlucky gets that RNG that he cannot really interrupt without risking getting rotted. Does get a stagger now as well. Niorra, in the meantime, finished up the snail. Steel, thank you for the raid, dude. You're catching us at the end of a Deathless Randomizer League playoffs match. Welcome in, guys. We are currently tied between these 2 players, with Roman being slightly in the lead 70 to 70 is the score. The goal is to get as many boss kills as possible within 2 hours. While also obviously not trying to die. This is taking a long time. This Adult Falling Star Beast is so tanky. And Roman now also going for the Tree Sentinel bosses. He's fighting Spirit Godfrey. Who's waiting for him? I didn't actually catch that. The other one.
Me neither.
Oh, it's a Deathrite bird, I believe.
It's pretty fast. That's a pretty fast boss.
That was very good.
This RomainJacques replacement, Falling Star Beast, is the highest scaled boss in Overworld Altus, so it is even tankier than the other bosses they've been fighting so far. And on top of the boss itself also being naturally tanky. So it has been a bit of a longer fight for both of them.
Yeah, cleaner for Niorra for sure. Yeah, exactly. He definitely caught up there a little bit, but oh my god, it's like power stance damage on this Deathbird. There was no chance. And he gets another Deathbird right after as well. There's going to be some quick kills here. Now the big question is, where does Roman decide to go after this?
And I think if you're Niorra here, you definitely don't do this cave. Reason being, you have 2 quick overworld bosses here. Okay, he's going for it. You have 2 quick overworld bosses at the start of Altus, actually, with the Knight's Cav and the Godfroy, which I don't think he's done. Yeah,
that is correct. I think one of the big points that you are making here is that the overworld bosses, if it's something really bad, you can just skip it, right? Make your progression. Run towards the next one.
Yes.
While here, you are making a one-way trip. If this is something unkillable, you've just wasted your time.
And of course, we know that this is in fact a trio, and it is going to waste a lot of his time. And yeah, those overworld bosses are usually always the fastest ones to get to, and you want to be prioritizing them in these late-game situations where you can't kill every boss to really maximize your score.
Ooh! Niorra getting rotted. Has one more bolus still left, uses it. Oh, and Roman, he hasn't killed Soldier of Godric replacement yet. So he went for Gillica, and now he's heading over for this. That's going to be the Dragonkin Soldier.
I wonder if he's had any other bosses like this that are pretty fast to get to, but he hasn't done yet. He could really be getting a lot out of these last few minutes.
He could. I mean, there's still Stillwater Cave that I can think of at least.
Right.
At the beginning of the year.
And Niorra gets rotted again.
Yeah.
I mean, boss is almost dead, so it doesn't matter, but he did lose a decent chunk of time.
Why is there a difference in the time left? It's because it goes by in-game time, and Roman had to take a toilet break. Okay, Niorra now going to be heading over to Wormface into that Crystallian Tunnel. Those are going to be 2 bosses.
Interesting choice with his time left.
Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough.
He's going to have to pull out some really good fights in order to make this work. He's going to get 1 probably. Getting 2 is going to be difficult here.
Yeah, I agree. Especially considering that it's BBK, right? Like BBK can also stall a little bit, so I guess we'll see what happens. Right. In the meantime, Roman getting
to 84. I think
74.
His victory, actually. Oh, yeah. Sorry, 74.
Yeah, I think so, because like at this point, even if he dies, his points would get locked at 74, and it's very unlikely for Niorra to actually make it to 74.
Yeah, and even if Niorra gets to 74 and they're tied, it is based on who killed the last boss first.
Yep.
So it would still go to Roman in that scenario.
Yeah, that is correct. Nice damage there. He does miss some of the crouch attacks as well. 1 more hit will have to do it. Niorra does get the kill, gets to 73, and now he has 40 seconds left to make it over to the next boss. He's not even going to try. He Memory of Graces. He recognizes that that's it. That's it. Damn, Roman, he's going to take 1 over Niorra again. After the show match. And winning by 10 seconds.
By 2 or maybe even 3 points, depending on if he manages to get another boss after this.
This is crazy. I mean, jumping wins. All you have to do is just bunny hop. Just bunny hop with 2 weapons in your hands, and that's how you win. At the same time, you cannot just look at the build difference between the 2 players. You also have to look at some of the routing decisions. And Roman recognized fairly early that this was probably not going to be most likely a double Dectus seed, and he decided to go to Altus earlier, and he got more out of Altus. You know, he was able to do the entire battleground section, and Niorra had to skip that one.
Right, for sure. Definitely a combination of factors, but yeah. Both the jump build and the better routing.
Yep.
Clutched this one out. What a game.
Yeah, very cool game. I was very happy to have this be the first match that we get to see on the channel.
And we see him going to Snowfield.
Snowfield, yeah.
Minute 15. This boss takes about 40 seconds to run to, so he has a chance if it's quick and easy.
Yeah. This is very interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
To get to 76.
Let's see what it is.
Very, very impressive from Roman just to keep his pace in that last little bit, even with Makar. This is about what his pace should have been, killing about 130. A boss every minute 30 is what he did, aside from the time loss that you take running through precipice. And yeah, he's not gonna get this last boss. I don't think it's a dragon, but maybe.
Yeah, I find it fairly unlikely. I mean, his damage is good, but I think it's a Jagged Peak Drake as well.
Yeah, his damage is good in any context other than trying to kill it in 30 seconds.
Yeah, he also like very clever usage again of a grease as well, right? Has the Dragon Moon grease, recognizes it. I mean, this was close. I mean, he almost got to 76, but
he's gonna be mere seconds off. Actually, he's been fighting this really well.
Yep. Gets a super quick stagger, gets the rippos, the headshots after that, gets another stagger as well, but runs out of time in the end. He doesn't realize that he won. He's obviously going to be sad that 10 seconds separated him from having a 76. But I mean, in the end, 75, 73 is the score. RomainJacques probably pulling a slight upset, I would say. I think most people would favor Niorra with his superior consistency. He's going to be moving on to the next round. But for all the Niorra fans out there, and I know that there are some, at least some, then his journey is not over. The very talented player is only going to be falling over into the lower bracket, so he still has a chance to honestly win the entire event. Like he could still do that. He's a very good player. We know that he's consistent, and consistency was really is what matters here. As we see happiness on Roman's face, ecstatic about his victory. Well deserved. Yeah. I mean, it's just super interesting to see the difference in the playstyles, in the build, in the aggression. Like it shows that sometimes the cleaner fights which Niorra had are not enough, right? Like sometimes it's just better to take some of the hits, especially early on in the runs. Just take the hits, trade. Your superior damage to the boss will probably make up the difference, even if you, for example, miss an attack because you know you got hit.
Right.
I'm gonna quickly also pull up the brackets on the screen for us to see. Why is this so tiny? Oh, it's because it's on my secondary monitor. That actually makes sense. Yeah, I'll pull up the brackets. So what we witnessed now was this match number 6 between Niorra and RomainJacques. The winner, Roman, is gonna head over to match 11 against Rakushine. Rakushine, another extremely talented player. Not easy for any of these players, to be honest. It's gonna be France versus Switzerland again. Raku having a little bit of a chance to avenge his countryman. And at the same time, the loser of this match, that is Niorra, will be facing, if I'm looking correctly, will be facing the winner of NPT versus Ascar. It's also going to be very, very interesting to see. I think Niorra should be favored either way, simply based on the results. Of course, all of these players that are in the lower bracket besides Gustav and Engsk are players that finished between 17 to 32. Because 32 participants made it to the playoffs, the lower half to the lower brackets, the upper half to the upper brackets. Cool stuff. You can also quickly take a look at the matches themselves. What is still coming up, because today is a triple whammy. Got 3 matches today. In about 45 minutes from now on, we will have Consta Sama against the Mixed, casted by Hooser on the English stream, Forsa on the French one. And then later on, 1 hour with some overlap, 1 hour after that, it will be Lil Aggie against Unluck Destro in the lower brackets, casted by Parky and Elysia. So, guys, if you enjoyed the broadcast, it's not over yet. It will be over for me and Helios, though. Helios, thank you so much for joining me, man. It was a pleasure to have you, and it was great to get your insight as someone who's been grinding the format and is an experienced player. I really hope that we can have you back on the cast for some of the other matches. If you would be down, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. I'm happy, excited about it. I definitely want to come back, especially because I know you have a game that I actually do want to co-commentate. It is between Rambler and Hoosier, two of my closest friends. So I definitely at least want to be there for that one.
All right, sounds great. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. And yeah, good luck to you as well. I mean, your game is already scheduled as well. If you guys want to catch Helios, he will be playing on the 18th, which is on Saturday against Sci-Fi. So it's another Team Ignite team kill that we will see in the upper brackets. How are you feeling, by the way, about your match against Sci-Fi?
Well, going into the tournament, going into the playoffs, Sai is one of the most consistent players, right? 7 seeds, he did not die in the first 7, and then the 8th one, he just kind of sent it and took a death. But yeah, so I've been a little bit shaky. 4 of my seeds, I died before the 2-hour mark, and even in practice, my death rate has been very shaky. So definitely in my practice the last few days, my primary focus has been not dying, getting that consistency up, which I've done to some degree of success. I'm feeling pretty confident. After my last 3 sort of practice runs, I've done really well. So I'm feeling pretty confident. I do think in terms of scoring potential, unless I really ups his game, I am favored. But obviously, it's Deathless Randomizer League, not Go Fast Randomizer League and die like an idiot. So we will see.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, I think most people that are in the know would agree with your analysis, and I'm sure that you're gonna do great. Don't stress it too much. In the end, it's upper brackets, right? You qualified as seed number 10, so worst case scenario, you go through the grueling lower brackets. But I have full confidence that you're gonna do your best. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much again for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and yeah, catch you soon, Helios.
All right. See you later.
See you later.